I can't believe I'm holding the key to shaking up Mondstadt's entire wine industry in my own two hands! I can just see it now. The more alcohol those drunkards consume, the more sober they'll become!
I wonder if it could also be used to turn water into wine?
Alternatively, a strength-enhancing potion could make it so that Paimon could take down an Abyss Mage all on her own. How are we supposed to make a potion like that? The pain from walking on all that rough terrain. It's like it was never there. With this in my arsenal, I bet I could deliver 200 orders in a single day. Excuse me. Coming through. Coming through. Jerry, your shipment's here.
Need a bit of letting out around the middle.
No, just ran into a bit of trouble.
It's up to me to decide who I want to be, and to cut my own path. No one can tell me what to do. Let's go, Tomato! Delicate as silk! Next customer, the Spina's on the case!
Is Fiori here? I'd like to return my outfit. What kind of rags are you trying to sell us, huh?
Ugh, you didn't get bought out by my competitors, did you? Tail. Ah, what a nice surprise.
Don't tell me you came to learn Genius Invocation TCG without bringing any cards. It is time to see what you are made of. With sword comes shadow. Go as one!
Hello and welcome everyone to the America's Serious Showdown. I am so excited to be here. My name is Leah, aka Windflower Leah.
And this is Black Dean at Invocation Academy. I'm so excited to be here to kick off another year of Prince Cup. Very close actually to the anniversary of our very own first Prince Cup back, this time last year.
Yeah, so that was like June, July-ish, right? Where we did both the NA and EU Prince Cups back to back in Los Angeles. And now we're finally getting back into the official tournament season. And this is just the spring version, right? This is the spring Serious Showdown, notably. So very, very excited. There's a lot of familiar names here that you're going to be seeing.
A lot.
And a lot of games that are going to be played today. So
yeah, I mean, we'll definitely get to them one at a time, but yeah, the competition here is definitely stacked. I firsthand experience of that, obviously. The reason I'm casting here is because I did not make it through the Serious Showdown brackets, unfortunately, but all is good. I'm here to cast, and I'm really looking forward to watching these games and seeing who makes it through to the Prince Cup here.
Yeah, you were there were a lot of group of deaths this time, I think. You were in a very difficult group, though, but you made it pretty far. Because, I mean,
yeah, not the most difficult.
Yeah, not the most difficult. We'll see later. But, these players had to play through both, both seasons of the 2024 Castiel's Gathering just to get a spot in the Serious Showdown. And this is kind of the qualifiers tournament leading into that Prince Cup tournament that, the live events in person. Last year they were in Los Angeles for NA and EU. And actually this year they're going to be combined, but for the Serious Showdown, it's America's only. So you can see on the screen the introduction here. Basically, this is the spring version of the Serious Showdown. 24 players are going to go to the Prince Cup, right?
Well, there's 24 total, at least from the Serious Showdown. Obviously, half of them are going to come from this America series, so 12, and then the other half are going to come from the EU, which will be streamed later on. So if you want to catch that action, make sure to check out the stream, I think, starting tomorrow for the EU bracket as well, because those are the same players that will be competing in the Prince Cup Atlantic.
Yeah, Staffa and Rin are going to be casting that, I believe. Not to spoil them, I don't know if they've announced it. I think they did announce it, but also there will be 8 more players, I believe, coming from the wildcard tournament, which is currently open for registration. So if you are interested in joining in on the fun, that is currently open. You go to the Astro Carnival website. But here is our schedule for today. So Group 1, we are going to be watching the final best of 3s in 4 out of 6 groups, by the way. So these are the players that lost one of their matches in their group stage, and basically this last match is going to decide who is the last person to make it through. So we have Nyahida versus Ria, Mistake versus Jibu, FDJ versus Mayoi, and Liel versus Sankyo. So very excited.
Yeah, very excited. Lots of familiar names here, and as you mentioned, all the players here, went 1-1, so they had 1 win and 1 loss in their group. It was a double elimination bracket within each group. So if you lost 2, as soon as you lose 2 games, you are knocked out. But if you go 2-1 or better, then you will advance. So one of the players in each of these brackets will go through to the Prince Cup, while the other will be knocked out. Although they will have another chance as well in the wildcard.
And here is our Group 1 bracket. So this is, a double elimination group stage. You can see that 9006 actually made it out 2-0 to qualify for the Prince Cup tournament. And we are going to be seeing Ria versus Nyahida for that last spot there. Nyahida, of course, won 2nd place, actually, in the last Prince Cup tournament in Los Angeles last year. So, already we're seeing very familiar names here, right?
Yeah, and of course, and lots of newcomers and lots of familiar names, because if you also watch the NA season 1 this year, Nyahida did come first in that. So a very established player, actually kind of a bit of an upset, I think. I think he is definitely the favorite going into this bracket, but 906 able to knock him out in that going 2-0 and advance is actually very impressive.
I mean, 906 is a veteran player, just hasn't had any Astro tournament showing, so I guess this is like their big chance, right?
Yeah.
Very, very exciting to see new players and also familiar faces making it through, of course. What are your expectations going into this? Oh, wait.
I mean, I think Nyahida definitely is a favorite here. And we'll have to see if he can kind of clutch it out and make sure to not lose again to get knocked out.
Well, I was about to ask you what your expectations for the decks were, and here we go. We have Nyahida's deck starting off with Fire Station. This is actually not what I expect to see. I love to see Fire Station personally. I love the Catherine pick here as well. But this is not standard. I feel like Hyper Magic has been the meta, right?
Yeah, speaking of hyper magic, you know, it's kind of a term coined by the community. If you're not familiar with that term, for anyone who's new, it refers to decks that are playing Jet. You can see 2 copies there, our old favorite NPC, and Gilded Dreams, that artifact in the top row there, second, right next to Gamblers there. That combination has proven to be very powerful, specifically in this deck with Chongyun, Xingqiu, and Razor. And we're probably going to see a lot of this specific deck going into all of our matches today.
I love Ria's profile picture, by the way. I'm just.
It's George. It's a real life George.
It's just real life George. It's not a Hydro George though. But here we go, Nyahida versus Ria. This is the first game in our first best of 3. Whoever wins this set is going to be moving on to the Prince Cup tournament. Fire Station versus Chong Razor. Who do you think is favored in this matchup?
So I believe the freeze actually is a little bit favored because the Bennett deck does tend to want to build burst and then just repeatedly attack. But if your character gets frozen, you can't make use of the Bennett burst as easily. So I do think Ria is favored a little bit going in.
Nyahida, I kind of gasped there because I saw Nyahida threw Bennett talent and kept it. That is like, it's very crucial, I feel like, especially when you're up against Hyper Magic because
yes.
I mean, if you are super lucky with that Chongyun Xingqiu Razor deck, you can go off turn 2, right? But it's more likely that you win the game turn 3.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more chance to talk about kind of the monster that is the Hyper Magic deck that's really been rampant in the meta. But yes, generally the Chongyun variant doesn't go as heavily in on round 2, but uses freeze to lock you out. But getting that Bennett talent is very important because one of the ways you actually beat this deck, people have a struggle a lot against this Chongyun Xingqiu combo, but one of the ways you beat it is by damage. And drawing Bennett talent ensures that you can really power out the damage as fast as possible.
Fire Station, in my opinion, back around the Asia Invitational that we were casting in Shanghai, I feel like it was one of those stronger decks. It was always banned out, but it was really taken by players, and it performed really well, I think, at that tournament. But I feel like it's been overshadowed by Hyper Magic.
Exactly.
So I'm really interested in this game, actually.
Yeah, like I said, Freeze has actually really been crept at as the really dominant reaction, and we see Ria with a very odd start. I'm actually not sure what's going on here.
This is very interesting. So, yeah, we see Ria starting on Chongyun, right? And then swapping over to Razor and not Xingqiu. What do you think they're trying to do here?
So it might be because of the hand. So if you look at Ria's hand, they didn't draw anything that they can use to save 2 dice. So normally with the Chongyun Xingqiu deck, you want to start on Xingqiu, skill twice, with either normal attacks or elemental skill, and then use those 2 dice to ramp into a future turn. But because he didn't draw anything like that, it looks like he's trying to swap stall. But I don't know if that's worth it in this spot.
That is exactly what it looks like, because we do see Razor swapping back to Xingqiu. Of course, Nyahida is spamming attacks on Bennett for Bennett Burst, gonna use that talent next turn, right?
Yeah. I think what this is playing around, maybe too much, but what this is playing around is potentially, because Nyahida went first, if he's able to quick swap into Thunder Manifestation on Xingqiu and take him out immediately at the beginning of round 2, that really hurts the odds of Ria's deck. Ria really needs to get off that Xingqiu burst. So by swapping around in this way, he's at least avoiding a potential early round 2 kill if Nyahida has a fast swap in hand, which we know he doesn't, but you do have to play around that because his deck is running 3.
That does make sense, because I mean, if Xingqiu uses any abilities here, it's going to draw that Lightning Rod from Thunder Manifestation, right? And it won't reset until another character uses a skill on the next turn. So basically, even if you swap off of Xingqiu here, if you're Ria, if Nyahida has a quick swap to Thunder Manifestation, a skill will do 4 damage if it hasn't been
4 damage,
yet, right? Ooh. Nyahida tuning
going for tune.
Gamblers.
So I think the tune there is because Nyahida is planning to play Willow, so he needs to get rid of 1 more card in his hand anyway.
Why doesn't he just play like Gamblers? Oh wait,
because he needs 1 more dice.
Yeah, he needs the dice for the Willow. I want to know what food that is that he chose to keep it over Gamblers. Maybe Lotus?
I think it's probably a Lotus. That would be the only one that makes sense. I'm still very surprised at Ria's start here. So normally if you start on Xingqiu, one of the ways that you can really punish the Bennett player is you can use Xingqiu's skill to cleanse any Pyro Aura, and that actually makes it really hard for Thunder Manifestation to actually take out Xingqiu. So I'm not a big fan of the opening. Again, it might be because of Rhea's hand not having any 1 or 2 cost cards, but part of that also is we see he decided to keep Judgment. Passing of Judgment is becoming very popular in the meta. I don't like keeping that against Pyro Manifestation here or Fire Station. I don't think it's a very important card, and that might have been better as a different ramp card. So I kind of like Nahida's position here. Even being the unfavored matchup, I don't think Rhea's playing in a way that's kind of taking advantage of his positive favorability, I guess.
Here we go. Nyahida playing Opera Epicleus for that dice fixing. Certainly going to see Bennett talent coming out here. It is discounted because of the artifact he has on Bennett, and so that is going to be +2 damage on every attack from Nyahida's side going forward.
Yeah, and the talent, again, is going to be very important. It doesn't look like it's going to matter too much with the current HP totals, but it will probably come up later. Again, really what Nahida needs to worry about is the freeze that's going to come. Xingqiu is going to be able to burst here, and then once Chongyun's Frost Field comes down, then any character on the opposing side can freeze with a normal attack. That's one of the strengths of this deck, is you can see that every character on that is being used can make use of that combo.
Yeah, and I mean, Rhea is almost certainly going to be using Xingqiu Burst here. It will also cleanse up Pyro Aura off of Xingqiu, which is great, and that Lightning Aura is going to stay attached to him.
Let me
for the
weave
rest
you
of
a
this round.
burst.
So, Chongyun is not going to be too under threat here. I feel like something Fire Station is very good at, once you have this Bennett Burst up with talent, it does a lot of damage. Of course, you need the dice for that, and it costs dice to play Bennett's Burst in the first place, but I think if Nyahida can just, survive... Ooh.
Oh.
Wait.
Very interesting there. Using that was a joyous, right? Yeah, joyous celebration, which of course applies the active character's element to all the characters. So cleansing that Hydra there.
Wait, this is so good. Ooh. So I think Yahida's like making use of that Bennett Burst, right, to heal up, because he gets more HP if he stays on Bennett, and I mean, he gets 2 actions by staying on Bennett as well. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, I haven't actually had the chance to play this matchup yet, but maybe this is the right way to go about it. Again, pressuring the Chongyun Razor deck is a very effective strategy because they don't run any food. One of the really interesting things about the deck, if you didn't see it from the deck list, is that they run 0 food, so there's no way for them to recover health at all. So any damage you do will stick for the entire game. And that ends up being quite important.
Here we go. Rhea is starting the hyper magic already. Playing Sunyata and drawing... Is that a Tubby?
That is a Tubby.
And Wang Shu in. So, I mean, Sunyata is going to destroy one of your active support cards, then you can play whatever. It'll generate 2 more in your hand, and then you can play it for 1 less cost. So
exactly.
Basically the goal here, if you see that Jet card in Rhea's hand, oh, here another Sunyata coming out for Tubby. Wait. Every time you destroy a support card in your support card area, it gives Jet 1 counter, and you're looking to get her at 6 counters, then use an Elemental Burst to basically destroy her too, and give you 4 Omni Dice for each Jet that has those 6 counters. So this is what's known as hyper magic, because it couples it's like a way of dice generation that you also couple with the traditional gilded magic, right?
Yeah, it's so one of the main things the deck is very good at is basically drawing every single card in the deck, and once you do that, you're able to combine cards very powerfully. But we've seen Rhea's been taking very unusual lines. I'm actually not a fan of it. I think if you just play a normal game as the Xingqiu Chongyun deck, you're just heavily favored. But he's wasted a lot of dice swapping around. Playing stuff like Tubby, even though it did get randomly generated, is not ideal. Wow, look at his dice. What a roll.
His dice are insane. Also, he drew his other gamblers.
He
and
did,
Sapwood. So, I mean, Yahida could kind of just stay on Bennett and burst, and he also has, like, the discount because of the artifact on Bennett. This is such a good spot to be in if you're Yahida. Of course, I mean, it can be deceptive, though.
It is very deceptive, yeah. One of the problems here for Nahida Exactly. One of the problems for Nahida right now, and why this matchup I think is so unfavored for Bennett, is it doesn't matter what Bennett burst you have active. If your character is frozen, you can't do anything. And he hasn't notably drawn any of the quick swaps in his deck. He runs 2 Catherine and a Leave It to Me. That's very important to be able to get around the freeze from the Chongyun deck.
Yeah, I mean, in my experience, because I've played a lot of Fire Station this past season of Cat's Gathering, what you normally do is you look to sacrifice a character, but even then, because you have 3 Rain Swords, right, on Rhea's side, that's 1 for each character, so if they're smart about how they use those Rain Swords, like utilize those freezes, then it's kind of unavoidable to get frozen.
Yeah, it's very unlikely for Rhea's deck not to take out Nahida by round 3, but we'll have to see. He did get a little bit unlucky on those Senyatas, and so far hasn't been drawing very well. So notably, the deck uses Dunyazad as well to discount Jet, as well as 2 Yayois. He's only drawn 1 Yayoi so far, but no Dunyazad, so he's actually not doing so great on the dice generation front.
Yeah.
Which definitely could go in Nahida's favor and make that heal play on Bennett a lot better, because now he actually has a very real chance of surviving round 3. Normally, round 3 is very scary if you're going up against his Chongyun Shinshu deck, because they have so much damage all at once.
I wanted to note that Rhea just played Judgment, by the way, and that is probably to prevent a quick swap from Nahida's side. And this is what I was wondering, how would Nahida respond? Because he could refresh Bennett's burst, right? To prepare for next round, but when you're against Hyper Magic, there is not going to be a next round.
Yeah, you don't. If the Chongyun deck doesn't win this round, then Nahida basically automatically wins. Again, they don't run any healing aside from, I guess, that Wangshu In that did come out from Sanyata is healing. So maybe that kind of is going to throw off the math a little bit. But we're going to see this freeze here be very devastating.
Yeah, there's no good way for Nahida to swap over. Of course, so one thing we didn't mention earlier is that this is a closed decklist format, and they're not submitting decks to begin with. So it's kind of like blind pick, right? So Rhea doesn't know what Nahida has in his deck. We know he actually has 2 Catherines, but he hasn't drawn them. Catherine would play around that Judgment.
Exactly. Yeah, I think, and that's exactly, so if you look at Nahida's deck list for this Fire Station, it's actually built specifically to be good into this metagame because so many players are playing Judgment. Catherine has started being good again. I had a video kind of bashing on Catherine for a while because I know new players love to play Catherine, but right now is actually a very good time to be playing her because she gets around that Judgment card, being a character and not a event card.
Judgment plus freeze is just such a brutal combo, as we're seeing here. Because even if Nahida had that quick swap in hand, right? With Judgment, he would have to play 3 event cards before he could play that quick swap.
Yeah, which is almost going to be impossible. So we're most likely going to see Nahida not even try to use any more event cards.
Also, I really like how Nahida's playing around this. Because he's just basically like, he goes Cleese, like, what are you gonna do, freeze me? Because Rhea would have to generate more dice just to freeze at that point, and it's not worth, right?
Yeah, definitely not worth it. I'm actually surprised that Nahida didn't end up going to out of dice. And again, Rhea did low roll a little bit for this round. I think normally you'd have a lot more dice generation, but Nahida being able to punish the slow start out of Rhea, and I think part of it was just like going. I think there's two things I didn't like from it. Like Rhea kept Judgment in the opening hand, which I don't think you should do. You should put that back to get more card draw. And secondly, that swap play early on that just wasted 2 dice really put him on the back foot, and Nahida being able to stay just on Bennett and continually attack took advantage of that quite nicely.
And now that Judgment is gone, of course Nahida does not have any quick swap still, but there's not much Rhea can do here. There's no food in that deck to revive either Chongyun or Razor. I don't think they've destroyed enough support cards to have, like, to proc a full jet. with Synchro Burst, like, it is going to be next to impossible for Rhea to come back from this, I think.
Yeah, and Shinchu by himself is not enough to actually utilize those jet stacks properly. You know, Razor and Chongyun do more damage for sure. So even if that jet does come down, even if Shinchu is able to use their burst. Should we explain Jet at all for maybe players new and not familiar with how she works?
I kind of explained it a bit earlier, but it wasn't very clear, I guess. So, that Jet card, you can see it in Rhea's hand. It's that 1-cost card. You can see her hair just kind of sticking out. She builds up stacks, and she can go up to 6, and those stacks depend on how many support cards you've destroyed on your side of the board. So every time, you know, for example, Rhea just played Dunya's Ad over another card, right? So whatever card was there before got replaced. That Lumen Stone just got replaced by Jet, so that adds a counter to Jet. And right now she's at 5. So if Rhea can play one more support card to, like, basically destroy one of them in their set. Okay, how do I explain that? It's really hard to explain, right?
It's very complicated. I think that's definitely. I mean, you can see it in action right there. You know, removing one seed dispensary for another makes Jet go up to 6, which is her max stacks.
It is her max stats. So basically, if you use an elemental burst when Jet is at her max stats, which is 6, you get the amount of Omni dice equal to those stacks minus 2. So right now, Rhea will get 4 Omni dice for playing Shincho's Burst.
Yes. And 4 is kind of the magic number. Usually this deck wants to get 2 out at once, which is a total of 8 dice for one round, and that's usually how they sweep your entire team. It's very complicated. When Jet first came out, I kind of jokingly was saying that, oh, they're finally making GITCG players do algebra, because you have to do like 6 minus 2, and then, you know, it's the number. Yeah, it's complicated.
But here we go. Bennett going for that skill. Nyahida is going to take that first game on Fire Station, which, congratulations to Nyahida. Very exciting for me personally, seeing, you know, a deck that is more traditional in a sense, beating out Hyper Magic, which is very meta right now. So
yeah, I mean, it's traditional, but again, if you go back and look at that list, it is tailor-made to be better in this matchup. Again, usually you do run 2 copies of Lead It To Me, but because of how many players are playing Judgment right now, Nahida specifically chose Catherine to get underneath that effect. Because if your opponent uses 1 dice to play Judgment, but your deck doesn't care about Judgment, then you automatically have an advantage over them. So I think that's very heads-up card choice, tailored to the metagame, which again, it paid off in this instance, even though he didn't draw it, which is kind of funny. Like, he didn't have drawing the card, but the whole deck is built with that in mind.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 2 Catherines is no joke, right? Definitely very unfamiliar for me, because that wasn't something you would bring before. But Hyper Magic is just that strong right now, I think.
It is.
And we kind of explained it a little bit earlier. It's really hard to break it down in the middle of a game, but
we'll see it a lot.
Hyper Magic, we will see it a lot. We will see it a lot. I bet you. Actually, speaking of Hyper Magic, this is also a Hyper Magic deck. One that is very new, emergent in this patch. You know, that's Kazaha, Signora, Mona. It's basically perma-freeze, right?
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny. The meta has really adapted to all of the players playing these Jet decks by playing more freeze, because that really counters this kind of deck exactly that we're actually about to see.
Yeah, so there are freeze Hyper Magic decks, and then there are non-freeze Hyper Magic decks. So I'm very interested to see Bennett here. I think normally it's Linny, right?
It is normally Linny, although Seahorse Azita tends to be the core. You know, Linny is great at triggering chains, but we see in Rhea's list, they did go down a chain for some other cards. So probably trying more for that Bennett burst and try and go for something round 2 that's guaranteed to kill. But Nahida's at a very significant advantage. Nahida was practicing that freeze deck against me when we were both trading for the series Showdown, and it is brutal against Hyper Magic. Again, he is very much targeting the decks that Rhea is bringing right now, and I think Rhea's kind of playing into these matchups, so he's going to struggle a lot with the freeze.
I think it's interesting to think about, considering, I mean, like, once again, so this is a Conquest format, but it's also blind pick. So they are playing decks without knowing what their opponent submitted, right? And whatever they win with, they cannot use those characters again.
Correct.
So Nyahida won with Fire Station. He cannot use any decks that have Bennett, Thunder Manifestation or Klee in them, right? So
Yeah.
But if you lose with those cards, you can still play them.
Yeah, which notably means, with using Thunder Manifestation in previous deck, Nahida isn't able to play one of the other popular decks right now, which is Yilan OTK, using Yilan, Thunder Manifestation, and Signora. And so I wonder if Rhea changed decks knowing that, and chose a deck that maybe has a worse matchup into that deck because he knows he's not going to face it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Yilan OTK kind of surviving. It's only a Magic deck, and I say only a Magic deck when Magic was so magical just a couple patches ago. But the Hyper Magic is just so favored by players right now. But Magic is actually faster than Hyper Magic because it takes less setup.
It's a complicated metagame right now. If you're a new player here, first of all, welcome. You've chosen kind of a rough time to learn about the JTCG metagame because it's definitely a strange time to be in. Jet decks, basically, for some history, towards the end of last patch, people really started to figure out how to make Jet really work as a card, and people have been exploiting that for quite a while, which is why you're seeing her so much. People have figured out how to use her consistently, and it's proven to be one of the best strategies for any character combination. You can see here, we've already seen 3 different decks. We had the Chongyun Shinchu, now we have this Mona Kazuha Signora, then on Rhea's side we have Bennett as Taha Seahorse. All of the decks have completely different characters, but they're using the same core set of cards, right? That deck list is very similar between decks, and that's because all of them are kind of geared to efficiently use that jet engine, as it were.
So, I just wanted to point something out that just happened in this game, by the way. So, Nyahida tuned Sunyata to play Libid. I'm wondering what you think about that, considering he is running Hyper Magic.
Yeah, I think that is the right play. Libin is more important than Sunyata. Both of them essentially discards 1, but because Nahida can't really do anything else with the other cards in his hand, he wants to maintain priority, so he's always committed to playing Libin there. Unfortunately, though, he wasn't able to trigger that Lumenstone. One of the reasons you play Lumenstone in a deck like this, also one of the new cards, is if you can play 3 cards in one turn, it'll draw a card and generate 1 dice. And this deck has a lot of 0-cost cards. It's usually very easy, but if you draw not quite the right hand, which is what happened in this case, then you won't be able to trigger it, and you can see forcing Nahida to tune Sunyata, so that might come up later.
Yeah, so normally, I think actually always in Hyper Magic you'd run 2 copies of Sunyata, right? And I explained what the card does a little bit earlier, but I'll just reiterate again. So it's a 0-cost event card, and you can destroy a card in your support zone and generate 2 random ones that are not in your deck, by the way, just randomly generating them. And then play any support card for 1 cost less. So
exactly.
I guess Libin essentially does the same thing, right?
Libin essentially does the same thing, and I think it's better because you draw those extra cards. And wow, we see Nahida there getting a lot of cards and dice suddenly, and that's kind of what this whole deck is built to do. We see Yayoi deployed there. Because he has so many artifacts, he's able to play Gilded for free and generate 2 additional dice.
Yeah, so what happened there, Nyahida played Sea Dispensary, which discounted Yayoi from 1 cost to 0. So we got a free Yayoi, and then Yayoi discounted Gilded for free. And he was able to play Gilded and then get a bunch of dice for free.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep track of. Maybe we need like a slow motion replay of everything, especially these like seasoned players. You can see Nahida sporting his gold card back, obviously from the top Aprons Cup. Very big flex there. But if you're very used to playing it, your action's going to go very fast, and so things are going to go by very quick.
The pale flame smolders.
Signora's elemental skill coming out. So to talk about what's actually happening, not just with the cards, but with the characters. Nyahida's deck is built around that permafreeze, right? And that's exactly what we're seeing here. Rhea's deck is very... It's Hyper Magic, but it's non-freeze Hyper Magic, right? So it's looking to do like a whole lot of damage at once. But the thing is, Nyahida has the same dice generation with that Hyper Magic core and can kind of shut Rhea down with the swirls coming out of Kazuha.
Yeah, it's a really interesting deck. So we didn't see it in this game because we saw Mona into Signora, but if you the standard line you can often see from this, if you go from Mona, Kazuha will swirl that Hydro, and then Signora can immediately freeze basically the entire team, and it kind of delays the opponent's strategy, letting you set up your own jet to let Signora take out the characters in one turn.
Yeah, look, Ria's forced to swap to Bennett, just swap stalling. Hasn't been able to do much of anything this turn, right?
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised that Nahida chose not to play that Judgment there. So typically, again, there's different flavors of decks you're running the same jet, but each of them has a slightly different strategy. So the one you usually see from Azteca Seahorse is they are the best at going off on round 2. If you've ever been obliterated on round 2, it's most likely from this deck. Because Azteca is so good at generating dice, but typically the way you can counter that is by playing Judgment on this round, but maybe with Freeze, it's not as important to lock Ria out on this round specifically.
Oh yeah, because with Isha Hyper Magic, you take 2 copies of his talent, right? Because basically you could just sit on him and play his talent and then generate even more dice. Basically, if you are new to the game right now or catching up on the meta as like a more casual player, the current meta is built around generating as much dice as possible. So you build a deck with a ton of discounts and just dice generation cards like Jet and Gilded, and the combination of the artifact engine, which is Magic and Gilded, and the Jet tech, which is all those support cards, destroying them and building her stacks. That is called Hyper Magic because you're constantly generating dice.
Look, if this is confusing to you now, don't worry. We will have plenty more matches, hopefully, to watch and have you learn how it all works. But I really like this play from Nahida here. So if you look closely at the elemental applications and ending on Kazuha, so normally in the Seahorse decks, you want to end on Seahorse because he draws you a card at the end of the round. But because Seahorse has Hydra on him, Ria can't actually. If Ria swaps to Seahorse, he's going to get basically his entire team frozen in one go and basically be locked out of round 3.
But it's still, Seahorse is still going to be frozen here, right? Because the Signora skill left sheer cold.
Exactly.
So after the freeze, like Signora is so good here actually because after you freeze someone who has a Hydro Aura with her skill, it puts sheer cold on them, and then at the end of the round they take 1 point of cryo damage. So the cryo aura is right back on Bennett.
Yeah, managing the cryo and the Hydro is actually very important for Nahida here. And again, he's very practiced with his deck, and it is built specifically to take on decks like Ria's. So we're seeing it in action here because freeze, having your characters frozen, it doesn't matter how much dice you generate. You can have 16 dice, whatever you want. If your whole team is frozen, there's nothing you can do. And the other thing that's kind of funny is because all of these decks are cutting food, normally the thing that Freeze has a problem with is dealing a lot of damage and getting through things like hashes and lotuses. But because so many decks don't have food, you can do enough damage just with Freeze.
So, I mean, I guess that is all to say that there are probably like older deck archetypes that could do well against certain hyper magic decks, but especially in a format like this where you're not sure what your opponent's bringing, there's no real way to know what to play into them, right?
No, it's very hard to predict.
Hyper magic. I'm actually so impressed by Nahida bringing Fire Station.
Yeah, I mean, Blind Pig definitely is challenging right now in the meta. I'll talk about that when we get to my group, because I specifically tried to play around the decks my opponents were bringing, failed to guess correctly, and got really punished for it. So that can definitely happen, but be able to play a deck well, and especially a deck like Nahida's, I think not a lot of players are used to playing against. And we're going to see, I think, Ria struggle a lot to figure out what the right plays are against it.
Oh yeah, so just to explain what's happened, by the way, so Nahida played a whole lot of cards. That second Mayoi came in to give Jet that 6 stacks, and then Signora's Burst proc that Jet, so you can see 4 brand new Omni dice generated in Yahida's pool there. And you attracted that Gilded, so 0 cost right now.
Yeah, it's probably waiting to play it on a different character when he needs it, just saving that discount up, which I think is a very heads-up play here. Unfortunately, Nahida didn't draw. If he had a Gamblers right now, the game would definitely be over. But we can see how much Ria is struggling as well. And of course, Nihida, having priority at the beginning of round 3, was able to play his judgment. So keep that in mind. Ria's not able. The first 3 action cards that Ria plays here, event cards, will be negated.
You didn't even need that second jet. Normally, you're trying to get both jets, right? And also, Sonata can generate jet. So
yeah, but I think we're about to see it over. With that gilded equip, Nihida is going to be able to burst and take out Aishtaha here.
That is just enough. I like how Nihida sat on that gilded until he was that one guy, just like Ria. And, you know, Ria going for the swap stall play is not able to do anything, just basically reacting to Nyakida's pressure, right? And this is, I feel like that's why Signora is so good in this core too, right? Because she can flip the switch and go into Pyro and do a whole ton of damage, right?
Exactly.
So,
I mean, that's kind of what the deck is built around, you know, controlling you with freeze and then being able to turn the tables when they've locked you out with freeze, with judgment, to do a lot of massive damage with vaporizers and melt and everything like that. Again, it's very targeted against that deck. You saw how good it was. Like, if you just look at how little damage Ria was able to put out, and how well Nihida was able to control the other side of the board, that really goes to show like why that deck is built to defeat those other jet decks.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's very new deck in this patch. That hype, that it's perma freeze. It's really interesting to watch, but painful to play against. So congratulations to Nahida, I believe, you know, going 2-0 in this best of 3. Just to reiterate, we were saying at the beginning of the stream, so we are watching the last best of 3 in each of these groups. So this is group 1, and Nahida did advance to the to the Prince Cup tournament from the Serious Showdown.
Right.
We'll be getting that base prize of $600 actually, if he continues to play on the Prince Cup tournament. So congratulations to Nahida.
Yeah, and best of luck, I guess, if Ria is going to compete through the wild cards. Of course, if you do get knocked out of the Serious Showdown, you do have another chance to make it into the Prince Cup, but you will have to fight your way once again alongside a bunch of other competitors as well in the wild card format.
Yeah, and also if you are watching the audience, you can sign up for the wild card as well. Just head over to the Astro Carnival. I believe they have a website with all the information. They just recently released like an article on it. So the signups are open if you're also interested in joining that wild card to qualify for the Prince Cup tournament. But I do believe we're going to be going to a break here, right?
Yeah, very quick set of games, but yeah, we'll be going for a short break before we proceed with the next group.
We'll see you guys very shortly.
All right.
And welcome back, everyone. So this is the Spring Series Showdown for Americas. Once again, my name is Leah, aka Windflower Leah.
And this is Blep at Blep the Cat. We went through a very quick best of 3 just now, and I think we're going to see a lot of fast ones again, because, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so we have been trying to address hyper magic as it's come up, but it's very difficult to explain it in the middle of a match. So hopefully as we get into this second group, we can kind of go over it just a bit. But we do expect to see pretty fast games here. Of course, we have 3 more best of 3s to come up. In this series showdown, there were 6 groups of 4 players, right? But we're only seeing 4 of those groups play today. And the best of 3s are the final matches that decide the last winner leaving the groups for the Prince Cup tournament. So just a reminder, here is our schedule again. So we just watched Nyahida versus Ria. Of course, Nyahida going 2-0 against Ria, qualifying through Group 1 for the Prince Cup tournament. And here we're going to go into match 2, which is Mistake versus Jibu. This is very interesting to me because, okay, I have 2 things to say about this. Jibu lost a Mistake in the knockouts for season 2, I believe, of Catskill's Gathering, and then also lost to Mistake at the beginning of the group stage, as you can see in this bracket.
Yeah, this is a rematch. And these 2 players... Okay, so this group 2, I will also say, is the most stacked group out of all of them. People immediately looked at this pairing. Every name you see on the left there, Ting, Mayumi, Jibu, Mistake, they are all previous top 8 Prince Cup competitors. Ting, Jibu, Mistake from the NA, and Mayumi from the Latin America one. So this is the highest caliber of players all stuck together in this one group, and only 2 players will be able to advance.
Of course, you know,
Crazy.
Ting taking top 4 in the North America Prince Cup tournament last year, actually lost against Nyahida, who took 2nd place and won in Group 1. He did advance to the Prince Cup 2-0. Congratulations to Ting. We're not going to see any of his games today, but we'll be seeing Jibu versus Mistake. Of course, Jibu, I think, is one of the players who's had the most showings in Astra.
Yes.
Tournaments.
Looks like the wrong deck list there. We'll hopefully have the correct one up for you. But yeah, Jibu definitely has a very extensive tournament history, pretty much appearing in every single competitive season of Cat's Tail for quite a while.
Very impressive. Also took first place against Nyahida in NA season 2 last year. Whoa!
Okay.
Wait, Lynette, Hyper Magic, official, Super Connect. What?
Yeah, so, you know, we saw that, of course, Mistake using the same Chong Yun Xingqiu deck that we saw earlier from Ria, but Jibu going for what is essentially an aggressive deck, which really got hurt by the changes in the most recent patch to Gilded Dreams. One of the things that we kind of had a domino effect where aggressive decks really took a downturn because of the Gilded change, which let these combo decks with Jet spike up. And as a result, we're also not seeing a lot of stall decks. You'll notice that very few players are opting to bring any slower decks because they're so bad into Jet. So the metagame has undergone a little bit of a shake-up because of that, but I really like Jibu trying the aggressive decks because these are the ones that do very well into the combo heavy metagame.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to address as well.
The threads of your fate lie in my hands.
Best of threes are going to be going by very quickly is because no one can really play stall in this meta. Stall just gets pushed out by that hyper magic because it is going to end the game by round 3. So I'm very interested in Jibu playing this official Cube Lynette Superconduct deck. This feels like a team special to me.
Yeah, it's a very, I would say it's a very brave choice just because, again, it's not currently not favored, but if you bring a deck that your opponent isn't expecting, okay, you know what? Okay, first of all, I have to give points off of Jibu for not using his Prince Cup gold card back here. Because he has it, but he's not using it.
Wait, where is it? Wait. But we see a mistake, of course, using it.
Of course.
So we're gonna have a new golden card back this year. You too can qualify for the Prince Cup tournament if you go play in the wild card right now. Go register. Go sign up.
And if you're listening, Jibu, shame on you for not using your card back. That's at least some preparation you have to have for these stream matches to bling out your deck as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, they all have the dynamic skins and everything, but where's that golden card back? So,
sorry, I was starting to look at. Yeah, I was looking at Mistake's hand here, just trying to figure out. He actually has a pretty decent hand for the most part. He's thinking through his moves very carefully. The first round, one of the things as well with how fast the games are, the first round is extremely important, and you have to make sure you play things correctly. And we're seeing here, he has a
Seed Dispensary into free Dinnerzod, into Ching, who's already free, but draws you another support card from your deck, and then you can play that for free. Okay.
Yeah. One unfortunate thing here, Mistake wasn't able to roll enough Hydro Die to skill on Xingqiu. One of the reasons Xingqiu is so good into official decks as well, and another reason why official decks have taken a downturn, is if you can cleanse that initial Electro with Xingqiu's skill, it's very potent. But I don't think he's going to tune 2 here in order to make that work. He's most likely just going to normal attack again, and then take up that Chang, and then probably play Liben at the end of the round.
So one thing I wanted to note about Jibu's deck, by the way,
By
it's
royal
very different
decree.
from normal Hyper Magic, right? It takes 2 copies of Tandoori and also has Lynette talent, which is very important, and also Cube talent. Do you kind of want to talk about that a bit? Also, Fresh Wind of Freedom.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much a standard aggressive deck, which again, we haven't been seeing a lot of, but it's trying to end the game very quickly, because again, one of the ways you can really beat it, like these hyper magic decks with Jet feel unbeatable because you get to a point where they generate so much dice that you can't overcome them, but really the way to counteract them is to apply a lot of pressure and do a lot of damage.
Right, so bringing regular magic as opposed to hyper magic with Jet means you don't have to go through all that setup, you can just kind of go for a ton of damage right off the bat, right?
Yep. Very interesting swap function to Chongyun here from Mistake.
I think it's because, so the artifact that went on official was Heart of Cabrera.
Right.
So Mistake didn't want to give Jibu that card draw, so decided to proc leave it instead.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know if it's good either. Again, it might just be overthinking the matchup a little bit, but I guess if you're going to not use those dice anyway, you could just make that swap. Because again, the order here doesn't really matter. As long as Chongyun skills on round 2 and Xingqiu gets his burst off, and you have enough dice to make that happen, then you're pretty much good to go. And this at least avoids that initial superconduct reaction to keep Razor and the other characters a little bit healthier.
Yeah. These players think over their dice rolls a lot here.
Yeah, ooh. Very good dice
Okay.
from both sides.
What I was waiting to see when the dice rolls are over is if Mistake had that Judgment in hand, and he does have it. So this is the round to play it, right?
No, you typically want to play on round on round 3 when you're doing your freezes. So if you're the Chongyun Shinchu deck, the way you use Judgment is you play it on round 3 when you freeze your opponent's entire team and prevent them from using quick swaps, and then once your opponent's team is totally frozen, then you can burst and pop off with all the dice from Jet. So we're probably not going to see it this round, but it is going to come in very key next round.
I've seen some players use it round 2 against aggressive decks like Yelan, OTK.
Yeah, there's specific matchups where you use it in round 2 where you're not favored to make it to round 3, but this is probably not one of them. Especially because aggressive decks tend not to lean so heavily on the action cards or event cards, so even if you do play it, you're generally not getting that much advantage either way. But round 3 tends to be... Quick swap is the main thing you're trying to prevent here as the freeze deck.
Chongyun using his Frost Field, basically setting up for those freezes that you're talking about. This is, you know, kind of what this deck tries to do, right? You build up Xingqiu Burst and use Chongyun's Frost Field, and you just perma-freeze everyone on the opposing character's team and the game with either Chongyun or Razor.
Yeah, but we do see Jibu does have that Leave It To Me in hand. One actually funny thing you can do with Leave It To Me, especially if you know you're playing against a deck using Judgment, the effect doesn't actually end, so you can actually play Leave It To Me like turns before you use it. So a very cool thing that Jibu could do at some point is play that Leave It To Me, you know, either this round or very early next round before Mistake can play Judgment, and then it doesn't matter if Mistake does play Judgment because you'll still be able to quick swap.
Right, because Judgment is a card that will negate 3 event cards after it's already been played, right? But if you play Leave It To Me before it comes into play, then...
And we'll have to see if Jibu... So this is basically a race to see if Jibu can do enough damage to pressure Mistake enough that he can't execute his game plan. Unfortunately for Jibu, though, Mistake has drawn a pretty good opening here, you know, with that chain in play and a Celia as well. Card draw is the name of the game for these Jet decks. You know, they're built to basically draw the entire deck by round 3 if possible. And the more card draw you get, the easier it is to do that.
I think the only unfortunate thing for Mistake is that Xingqiu is only at 1 energy point right now and does have that Electro Aura. And Chongyun is very close to lethal already. So, I mean, it's going to be on Razor to sweep next round.
Yeah, that's why I'm a little bit surprised at that swap. So, the dice management, if you're the Jet player, is very important. And actually, if you do the math, if you want to burst on Xingqiu and skill on Chongyun, you only have 3 extra dice to do other things with, and if you put them towards Liben, then you don't actually have enough to do the swaps as you would normally. Wow.
Ooh, wait, wouldn't a swirl with Lynette trigger Superconduct? Yeah,
we could see that. So Chongyun could go down here, but maybe Mistake might be baiting that out because he does have that I haven't lost yet in hand. So if Jibu decides to go for the kill, I think it actually ends up in his favor. Because Xingqiu could burst next round to trigger Jets right at the start of round 3, rather than doing it at the end of this round.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do it now, right?
Yeah, we're probably gonna see it.
Is on cube going for Elemental Burst.
I think this is the best play because you're not in a rush to take out Chongyun specifically. He's already got his Frost Field down, so that's his main utility. You really care more about Razor and Xingqiu at this point.
And that Cryo Cube does have a revive, right? You see a little green thing at the bottom left. That card.
Yeah.
So even though Cryo Cube is at 2 health, come back to life.
Yeah, the revive ends up being pretty annoying, especially if you kind of get the health in just the right number, so that the revive comes back without actually taking Cube down. I don't know if it's at its best in this specific matchup because, you know, with Xingqiu's Rain Swords, it's very easy to take out Cube after it revives, but we'll have to see.
Ooh, something really interesting here too. So the way the Cryo Cube summon works is that it is going to target the character closest to your current active character. So if Jibu ends here on Cryo Cube, I think that damage is going to go onto Razor, right?
Yep, damage goes onto Razor. No, it's correct. It's the one directly opposite, and that's what you want because I think Jibu's plan is to get that Lynette Swell to trigger 2 Superconducts, and that's going to do a ton of damage.
Because he's ending first, right? Mistake swapped onto Shincho, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think he's planning... He still needs to get Shinchu's burst out, but he is short on dice right now. Unfortunately, not able to draw enough artifacts to make that Yayoi discount gilded any more than one means he's not going to be able to get enough dice. Ooh.
But I'm wondering, like, Mistake is running out of fuel here already, right? Because that swirl from Lynette can do so much, and Jibu going first means he has that quick swap in hand. You can just go for it.
Yeah, that's very important here. Jibu, so again, going first in round 3 is so crucial because you get to play around and with judgment. And because Jibu ended first, he doesn't need to, burn cards into judgment, and he's able to use that quick swap here. So we're going to see a devastating play. Shinchu is going to go down here, and without Rain Swords and Freeze, it's pretty much over for the Razor deck.
Man, and just a reminder, this is a rematch. This is a triple rematch for Jibu. He lost twice against Mistake, and he's finally going to get a win against the very notorious Hyper Magic deck that Mistake is playing. And he's a winner talent hand. Wait, this is so good.
This is good. This is good.
I have taught you everything.
Only razors left. That Lynette talent.
Wow.
You could just go for it.
Stefana.
Oh, come on. Style points say you should. Okay. Congratulations to Jibu for winning. But not doing it in style. Not having the card back, not using the Lynette talent to finish. Those, I'll deduct points for that.
Congratulations to Jibu for taking the first game in this best of 3. Of course, this is the last best of 3 in Group 2 of the Spring Series Showdown leading into the Prince Cup tournament. So if Jibu goes on to win the next match here, he'll be qualifying for the Prince Cup tournament. But there are potentially 2 games left. Mistake is not out just yet, so...
Yeah, and of course, since Mistake lost on that deck, he is able to choose it again to the next round. So Jibu may have to play into that deck again. But, definitely, I'm sure he'll be keeping that in mind. Again, a very popular deck in the metagame right now. But you see, again, people feel that deck is unbeatable, but you see how easily it can fold if it stumbles a little bit, especially towards aggressive decks. It's just, there are so few aggressive decks right now running around because of the change to Gilded. But I really like this choice here I'm really curious to see what Mistake and Jibu played against each other in the first round, because I wonder if there's like a strategy here to try and predict what your opponent is bringing based on what they did in the first series.
So I have a little bit of insider knowledge about this.
Oh,
Jibu was playing Mew before, and I get the impression that he practiced with Ting, who already made it out of the group, right? So, because that is a deck that Ting has played a lot, that Lynette Superconduct deck. But here we go into round 2 of this best of 3 here of Group 2. Mistake is once again playing that Chongyun Razor Shincho Hyper Magic Freeze deck that we've seen so much already.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of it already, and again, we're probably not done seeing it again today, so you'll have plenty of chance to see it in action.
Oh, and here we go. So this is a non-freeze hyper magic deck. Very interesting. So Jibu taking magic and then hyper magic.
Yeah, this is basically the other standard build of the jet decks. You have the Chongyun Shinchu freeze variant, then you have this Lini Seahorse H to her that is more focused on damage than freeze. And what's scary about the Lini version is that it has a very high chance to take you out or at least cripple you severely by round 2. So that's what we're going to be looking at here. There's one piece of advice that Robot was actually showed me about the specific matchup. We'll see if Mistake knows it. Yeah, okay. So he kept Judgment there. That's actually going to be a very key card in this matchup. I'm actually surprised that Jibu chose this deck knowing that his opponent could choose still the Chongyun Shinchu deck, because you're not favored, especially if they keep that Judgment in round 1.
Prepare to be amazed.
Jibu's options are a bit limited. I guess with that Lynette deck, you have a lot of like current meta decks left available, like Ilano today as well. But I think this is still a very strong pick. We're gonna have to see how it does into the freeze variant, because I think freeze beats out non-freeze normally, right?
It does, yeah. We saw, in the previous Best of 3, we saw a slightly different freeze version with Mona, Signora, and Kazuha kind of go to town on this Seahorse Edge to her deck. And It's really why this matchup is so unfavored when you're facing against Freeze, is because they have the ability to control you, stop you from using your dice, then it doesn't matter how much dice you can actually generate.
Yeah, but I mean, so I've personally faced off against this Linny Seaforest Aisha deck. I was streaming TCG just the other day, and Mr. SI, Robot Wizard, Prince Cup champion, matched into me and cleared me in round 2 and played Judgment round 2. So,
yep.
It is very scarily possible to entirely win the game in round 2 with that deck. It is so strong.
Yeah.
We're going to see if Jibu can pull it off.
Yeah, and specifically this matchup, as the Asia head deck, you kind of need to go off in round 2, because if you don't, you will almost certainly lose to Freeze. That's really kind of what we're looking at here. It's kind of funny to say just how quickly the game is going to be decided, but this opening round is so crucial. Both of them did have a Jet in their opening hand. It's actually not what you want in these games. You know, a good tip for players who are trying these decks out at home, even though Jet is such a crucial card for winning, you don't actually want to hold on to it at the beginning of the round. I think a lot of players make the mistake of thinking, oh, you know, if I put Jet away, I'm never going to draw it again. I need to keep it at the beginning. It's actually the wrong thing to do. You want as much card draw as possible. So for both players, having Jet in the open is actually a bad thing.
Yeah, though I think for Mistake, it's a little bit better because he does have the Junior Zod. So, I mean, he could play it, and then if he has no other companion support cards, he could play Jet for a discount and then draw another, you know, card from his deck. So, it's a little bit better on Mistake.
It's a little bit better, but for his dice though, he does actually have another Hydro die to normal attack against Xingqiu, so he might actually have to swap off to Chongyun here, because I don't think he wants to tune any of the cards in his hand. Although, okay, as crazy as it sounds, it might actually be correct to tune Jet here.
Is there a point? You have 5 dice though. You're gonna end up floating 2 anyway, unless you play Jet now.
Exactly.
I would never tune Jet. I would never tune Jet.
Okay. No, so I think what the play might be, if you play Dunyazad and Jet, you can tune the companion that you get off of Dunyazad, which might be better. So that's kind of up to his call. I don't think Mistake though should tune that Judgment. It's gonna be very important. You know, he kept it in his opening, which again is because it's very important in this specific matchup.
That's really riding on, like, you not drawing a valuable card though, right? Because you can't swap off anymore if you play Junior Zod Jet.
I mean, it doesn't matter, because I think Dunyazad and Jet are 2 of the more valuable cards in your deck. So it's really up to Mistake. Does he care more about keeping those cards for a future round, or does he just want some more dice efficiency and go to Chongyun here? I think both players are reasonable, but knowing my... So I think if I was in Mistake's shoes, I'd probably play a little bit slow. I think going to Chongyun here is probably better. You're not as concerned with getting Jet out very quick, as long as you can freeze your opponents. Oh, he's going to tune it! Okay.
I don't know.
I like that play a lot.
Like that.
No, that's actually the correct thing to do. Okay, so one of the funny things that's happened as well with the metagame evolving, so the reason why Jet is so good partly is because you get to do a lot of damage when people playing food, but because all of these decks are cutting food, you actually don't need Jet to win the game anymore, right? The Xingqiu Chongyun Razor deck can put out enough damage to take out an opposing deck if they're not running any food. So tuning Jet actually I think is correct there, as weird as that sounds.
See, for me, Mistake swaps to Chongyun anyway, right? So why not just go for Chongyun's skill and not tune anything? Then you could just play Dunyur Zod the next turn.
Because I think you still need to want to build up that energy on Xingqiu. Because again, freeze is what this entire matchup is going to revolve around. And so by skilling it again on Chongyun, he kind of ensures at least that in round 2, he's able to get those rain swords off. Because that's going to be crucial to make sure he survives into round 3.
Man, I just want to point out, like, we are talking so much about the cards this meta, because that's really what matters, right? Like, it's even when you're playing these hyper magic decks, it's really hard to just focus on, like, what actions the actual characters are taking, because you're trying to play around what cards you have to generate as much dice as possible. This meta is very, very complex, but also fun. Yeah,
it can definitely be fun to play in some situations. I think part of it is like Doing blind picks though is very difficult because if you don't know what your opponent is going to play, you know, there is a little more scissors paper rock in terms of matchups than there used to be. Ooh.
Whoa, wait, never
punished. The second jet. Never punished.
Never punished. Wait.
We'll have to see. So I think typically, Mistake would be playing Judgment here. I mean, based on what he did in this matchup, I think we'll probably see a Judgment played this round just to stop the Seahorse deck from going off on round 2. It depends on Mistake thinks there's a bit of a risk.
Yeah, I mean, if Mistake plays that Judgment, I forget, does Aisha's talent, is that affected by Judgment or no?
I believe it is. It's an event card.
It is?
It's an event card. It's not an equipment, it's an event card.
It's very unique talent card, right? You basically just go
Yep.
Aisha. You don't even get an energy point, you just generate dice. And stall a turn.
Yeah, but it looks like, though, I don't know if Jibu has... I think Jibu's hand might be good enough to actually go for a significant play in round 2. So I think Mistake might need to play that Judgment here just to survive this round. But if he can survive this round and then get Xingqiu's burst with Chongyun's field, it's very hard for Jibu to come out after that.
If you're
like, this is such a...
what do you do?
One with my blade.
He's not going to play Judgment. I mean, you definitely want to set up the Frost field. I think you're hoping that they overload you onto Xingqiu. And it's an interesting position because Mistake is purposely trying to get Jibu to use an overload to put him back onto Xingqiu, but Jibu knows this, and so he's not actually able to use Seahorse skill here to do more damage because it would give Mistake a free swap. But we might as well go to Aztaha here. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking, especially because Mistake hasn't played Judgment yet, right?
Yeah.
Like, you could swap Aishtaha and basically stall out Mistake's dice.
Yeah.
Because if Mistake is forced to swap onto Xingqiu, he doesn't have Yayoi to discount those gilded in hand, right? So, Jet costs 1, it would be 2 dice to swap over. You can't play Jet in burst this turn.
Ooh. Okay.
Ooh, double Dunyarzad coming down.
Oh!
There is the second Jet.
Oh no. Okay.
Oh no,
man.
indeed. Oh no.
I think Mistake really is going to wish that he played that Judgment, because this is exactly why you play Judgment at the start of round 2, is because if on some chance your opponent in the Asia deck draws into the perfect hand, they can just win this round. It's very likely that we'll see Jibu win this round. Although, I will say, one thing I think maybe Jibu may have misplayed a little bit is he could have played the 2 seed boxes first, and then the Dunyazards, so that leaves the discount for Jet. I wonder if that was actually the correct play there, because playing at this order, you have to use Dunyazard's discount on the second Dunyazard, but he could have got a free Jet in play otherwise. Oh, now the Judgment comes down. Now it's too late.
So what I want to know, if you play both seed boxes and then you play 2 Dunyazards,
it goes in the order.
Do you draw another?
You do. You still draw the other one. So you'll replace one of your other seed boxes, but notably the discount, you use the seed box discount on the Dunyazards before you use the Dunyazard one. Oh, Mistake is ending the turn, so he's going all in.
Yeah, Jibu not getting that card draw from Heart of Kavarina, but that Judgment is going to stop Jibu from generating more dice with Isha's talent.
A lot of this is going to come from this Sealy. If this Sealy draws into a Yayoi, I think Jibu just wins.
Yeah, he could just win this turn, right?
I don't think it's a could. I think he just wins.
He just wins.
He just wins.
Let's see.
Will not absolve you.
What does he get?
Oh,
Sunyata.
no.
Nope.
Sunyata's still pretty good though.
It is still pretty good, but you can play it this round. This is gonna be a round.
Oh, because of Judgment.
Decider.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Judgment is in play right now, so Jibu's forced to play a whole lot of cards right now. The question is, does he take out Chongyun here? I feel like no, right?
It depends if he thinks he can win this round, he probably would, but otherwise you might not want to, because
have gamblers or any other next generation. So I feel like you want Mistake to be forced to swap off. Of course, we know Mistake has Catherine in hand.
He does, yeah. Which honestly is a pretty unusual choice for this deck. I think, you know, again, these deck lists are blind. We were able to see them at the beginning of the game, but here Jibu is playing to Mistake without knowing the opponent's cards and vice versa. Unless, of course, if they've already... Oh!
Wait a second! Wait!
It just drew the... Oh, I think
Wait!
that might be enough. That Yayoi draw is huge because I think all Jibu needs to do is find one additional dice. And he could take out... He could either take out Xingqiu before burst or do enough damage to Razor that it won't matter. This is very close. I think...
But how does he get the dice generation with judgment in play? I feel like you don't.
I think you... Yeah, I don't think you have it. Yeah.
Maybe Jibu just plays both Jets at this point.
I'm not sure what you need to do in this spot. I mean, it's going to definitely go into round 3 by the looks of it. If you're swapping off H-Taha, he's usually the one that does all the damage in this version of the Hyper Magic deck. So that swap off definitely tells me that he's not going for it this round.
Yeah, I think this makes sense. I think Jibu's kind of forced to end and wait for next round.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that Catherine in Mistake's hand, I think is going to seal the deal. And we're about to see why Freeze is so potent in this matchup, because Mistake at the beginning of next round is going to be able to quick swap into Xingqiu, and not only will that cleanse the Pyro, but that's going to freeze Seahorse immediately, and because Jibu doesn't have his own quick swap, his entire team is going to get frozen in round 3. So this might actually be checkmate already.
Round 3 is often the decider for Hyper Magic decks, and so even though it deceptively looks like Jibu has the upper hand here, that could easily change at the beginning of next round. Just depending on how Mistake plays it.
Yep, and Jibu does have to be careful not to overdraw here. You know, carefully, I think he needs to go down to 7 cards, so he has the right number of cards here to not overdraw. But it might not matter.
Really hard to Kavrina on Liddy.
Yeah. But we can see how important Judgment was in this matchup, because if Mistake didn't have Judgment and didn't keep it at the beginning of in his opening hand, then Jibu would have straight up won on round 2 in this match. So very as these games are getting very complicated, but it's like that opening decision matters so much, right? You're guaranteed to draw Judgment in your hand, and keeping it is basically the difference between winning and losing this matchup.
So I don't think it's over yet for either side. So what I'm thinking right now, Jibu just drew a whole lot of dice generation with both Liars and another H-Taha talent.
Okay.
So if he can somehow stall out Mistake's freezes.
Well, what he needs to do is basically draw... Actually, even a quick swap here won't do it. He basically needs to generate a Catherine off of that Zenyatta to have a chance. If he doesn't, it's over. I mean, I know it looks like it could have a chance, but Freeze is so dominant in this matchup that, again, it doesn't matter how many dice you generate. If a character's sort of frozen, then you can't do anything.
The other problem for Mistake too is that there's only one Jet in his deck because
Ring Cutter.
But so Jet kind of doesn't matter in this matchup. I said at the beginning, because both decks don't run any food, you only have to count to about 30 damage, which normally is a problem if your opponent has Lotuses and things like that. But because people are cutting food, you don't actually need Jet to do enough damage to win the game. All Mistake needs to do is basically take out enough characters so that he can continually freeze the opposing side. If not at the end of this round, then going into the next round.
Wait, Mistake didn't play Jet.
I don't think Jet would have been at enough stacks.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, Mistake hasn't drawn Zenyatta. He hasn't had a very crazy opening, so Jet probably is only at 3 or 4 stacks. Unfortunately, you can't actually see it until you play it, but obviously, players of this caliber have been keeping track, so the fact that he didn't play it there obviously means that he actually doesn't have enough to trigger it. But it almost doesn't matter, because by the end of this round, he's going to build up enough energy on either Xingqiu or Chongyun to burst again at the beginning of next round.
But Mistake
Tremble and
has
submit,
2
mortal!
actions right now, right? So Jibu can just stall on H-Taha with his talent, and then pop off on Linny.
That's true, yeah. So that could be an option here.
And that looks like that's what we're going to see here, because Jibu does swap to H-Taha. And Mistake played Judgment last round, so
actually that might be...
to play those talents, and Liar Song, and Zenyatta.
Okay. So maybe it isn't as over as I thought, because I think Mistake did low roll a bit. You can see, actually, yeah, Mistake has double heart double gilded, but has notably no Yayois and no ball princesses. So he's very short on dice. So I will say Jibu probably got a little bit lucky here in this matchup going his way, because normally in this position you would be very heavily unfavored. But I think you're right. With those adds to her talents in hand, you can essentially stall on until your opponent passes and then go off on Linny.
I really wonder if Mistake didn't have enough jet stacks, because he did have that one Senora.
I don't think it was enough. If it was, he definitely would have played it. I'm gonna trust that these players know more than we do at this point. Ooh, swapping over to Razor.
Heart of Kavarina coming down on Razor, and yeah, so what do you think the goal is with the swap?
I think you were right in saying that if Mistake basically stays on Xingqiu and uses up all his dice, then Jibu can basically use those edge to her talents to stall. But by swapping in this way, he at least gets another draw potentially. He's kind of baiting Jibu into using dice on Age to her, because I think Jibu wants to go to Linny and build up to Linny's burst, because Jibu does have that second jet. So if Jibu can get Mistake to pass the turn and then use an elemental burst, he basically will win this round. So it's all kind of hedging on that. I think we're going to see an Age to her talent played here, because you basically just need to wait. Ooh.
There's the other jet. He's ready to go.
Interesting he played that now. I guess he's going to try and play Senora.
I'm wondering why he didn't play Senora before Jet.
I think, well, you already had those 2 discounts from Dunyazan, so it wouldn't have mattered. I think Jibu's kind of just like, oh. Okay, now he should have Senora, because he has a Memento lens he could have played. That'll still come up though.
It doesn't matter too much. It doesn't matter too much, yeah.
I think Jibu actually has enough dice to do it. Yeah, Mistake. Unfortunately, even though having the advantage in this matchup as well, I think he kind of low-rolled twice on the same deck, which is really unfortunate. I mean, it does happen. The deck is built very consistently.
1,000-year pain!
Ooh.
Oh, I like that actually. So he's going for that last energy point to threaten the double jet, and then he has those 2 talents in hand, so he could just stall it out when Mistake goes for the freeze. And
I mean, Mistake is forced to go for the freeze here. It's basically a forced play at this point.
Yeah, and this is crazy. Like, look, Jibu drew both liars. Has Yayoi, has Memento, has 2 gilded in hand. Intermission is in.
Yeah, this he couldn't have picked a better time to draw well, because again, he was very unfavored going into the beginning of this round, but he's able to capitalize on Mistake not drawing enough to punish with the freeze in this round. Yeah, but I think you're right. We're probably going to see surely the Age to her talents go down. You can't use it when you're frozen, right? I'm actually not sure.
Yeah, I think you can. I'm pretty sure
you should be able to.
Can.
Okay.
I'm pretty
that
sure
almost has to be correct. Yeah, here we go.
Yep, here we go. So, cost 2 dice, and then you get 3 dice back, and then you can just keep doing that, as long as you have 2 of the same dice.
Yeah, it's actually kind of crazy that passing the turn here is very important. Like, if Jibu didn't have those talents and had to swap and use up dice, it would be a very different game.
I think it's important to note as well that, so playing Aisha has talent doesn't generate energy for him, which is why I think he went for that skill earlier, just to threaten those double jets.
Yep.
But yeah,
so we're gonna see a lot of
swap off here.
Yeah, we're gonna see a lot of stalling. Mistake did draw a Yayoi, so I think what Mistake is gonna try and do is bait Jibu to swap to Linny so that he can use Yayoi to generate enough dice to normal on Chongyun. But Jibu being very smart, I mean, Jibu has the time to play around it because he has those each dead talents. It's very critical in this matchup right now.
And double liar, Yayoi, double gilded, Memento lens, no threat of judgment anymore. Has so much dice generation in hand to get those 2 actions off, so he can get Linny's burst off and then 8 more Omni dice. Just oh my gosh. I want to use this opportunity to quote another caster, Sumi, about hyper magic. Playing card make dice go bigger. Dice bigger, good things equals win. From Sumi. Thank you, Sumi.
Yes, very, very poetic. I mean, these matchups are very tough because of like it's so punishing. If you make one slip up against a deck with freeze and you get your characters frozen at the wrong time, then it can be over for you.
The swap stalling of going onto Shincho does have a little bit in hand. They played that Yayoi too, so Jibu knows.
Yeah, and Jibu very smart. They're not swapping to Linny, even though it looks like his opponent is at 1 dice. You know, Mistake did reveal his Yayoi. I wonder if that was intentional or if he just played it for more time. But by showing Yayoi there, oh, he passes.
Ooh,
that's what Jibu's waiting for.
It's time.
This is
We're
it.
gonna see the swap to Linny. There's nothing Mistake can do. He's already passed the turn.
Yeah, Jibu has the hand, I think, to win.
Oh, it's an honor
And
to
again,
be here.
it looks like it's very unfair from this point, but Jibu has played very well up until this point to make sure that there's no other way that Mistake could have played around this. And unfortunately, I think Mistake didn't draw quite enough to finish Jibu off at the start of round 3.
Yeah,
Here we go.
It's really unfortunate as well because I think Mistake also played very well, hiding a lot of what he had in his hand, so Jibu couldn't see it. But unfortunately, you know, drawing that double liar.
Yeah, drawing double layer is pretty nice at this point. So one thing Jibu has to be careful of is he needs to calculate his damage carefully because he does need to try and finish the game this round if possible. But I don't think it's going to be very difficult at this stage.
Yeah,
He's definitely got it in his bag.
He has enough dice at the moment to go for 2 actions on Liddy. Double Gilded has Memento 1 Yayoi. Like, he has a lot of dice without Jet, right?
Yes. Ooh. Okay.
Flowing rings.
Just to do a draw, so he's gonna go for his normal attack.
What if he gets bored? What if he gets bored?
I mean, if he gets bored, it's... Oh my god. And that seal is about to pop up as well with 3 more cards. Yeah, this is... We're gonna see... So this is what it looks like. So okay, so here's what we're seeing right now. On the bottom half of the screen, you're seeing how the deck operating at peak efficiency, where it draws all of its cards perfectly and you get every card you need. On the top of the screen, you're seeing what happens when the deck doesn't draw as well as it could and just doesn't seem to do much of anything. So this is going to be a fun watch, I think. If you haven't seen this in action before, and this is your first time coming here, this is going to look very different from maybe what you're used to in TCG.
Sorry, I'm laughing.
Now
I'm really...
disappear!
What if he draws board? Draws board. Oh my gosh. Oh, going for the skill here.
Yeah, Jibu still needs to... Oh, that's actually the perfect time to draw Gamblers, actually. Wow. He drew it the turn before he needed it. Unbelievable.
What is
And he drew a second Boar Princess as well.
He did!
Yeah, he's gonna tune this Wagner. Oh, man.
A round of applause.
That is 8 more Omni. No, it's 10 Omni because
I
of
am
the gamblers. And then he can still play Yayoi.
Yeah. So one thing I also want to point out, if you look at Jibu's deck, I hope we're probably going to see it hover over, but you can see how low it is, and that's kind of how these decks are built. You want to try and draw as many cards in your deck as once, because when they're combined together, they generate a ton of dice, but only if you can consistently draw them. So this whole deck is built around executing this as efficiently and consistently as possible. So, wow.
Let's get this show on the road.
In awe here. Doesn't even need to play the other guild or anything in hand. Just goes for it.
scourge
And
of
that is
evil.
it. Jibu taking the second game against Mistake. This is a triple rematch. Congratulations to Jibu.
Yeah.
You are the second person today qualifying for the Prince Cup tournament.
Yeah, really unfortunate there for Mistake. I mean, I think if you go back and look at those games, he did he rolled not very well. He didn't draw very well on either of those games as well. He, on average, I would say the decks definitely performed below average. And at this point in the competition, those are some of the toughest losses because, you know, RNG will fluctuate. Sometimes you'll get lucky, sometimes you won't. But the stakes of each different game are not the same, you know. So maybe Mistake, you'd use up all his luck in the early rounds, but at this critical point was not able to pull through. But either way, like, we had to send away 2 Prince Cup competitors no matter what from this group, and it just so happened in this time it was Mistake and Mayumi.
Yeah, actually this group is very incredible. You know, Ting,
It is the hardest group.
coming in top 4 for NA Prince Cup last year, and of course Jibu was also top 8 Prince Cup, and Mistake and Mayumi as well. Like basically everyone here was in the big tournament last year, which is a huge accomplishment in itself, and only 2 players could make it out. So I mean, just have to congratulate all these players. And this isn't necessarily the end for them if they go enter the wildcard tournament, and you could enter the wildcard tournament too. It's open for registration right now. You have a shot at also entering the Prince Cup tournament. But yeah, congratulations again to Jibu.
Yeah, I mean, it was very well fought matches. But yeah, hats off to him for kind of finding the lines needed. Obviously, if he had slipped up at any point in that last match, swapping to Lini too early before Mistake passed the turn, then he would have lost because of those freezes. But managing all of that freeze effectively and then drawing very well really clinched the game.
I feel like, in these Hyper Magic matchups, if you have freeze, you are normally favored to win, right?
You are very favored, yeah.
The card draw matters so much. Like, it really matters so much right now. And I mentioned this a bit earlier, but, like, we're focusing a lot of our conversation during these matches on the cards because they are what is generating you that extra dice so you can take those extra actions. It almost doesn't matter what characters you're using, right? But,
yeah, for sure.
We're going to head to a break here. So we'll be back for Group 3's Best of 3 very soon. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
hello, and welcome back to the Spring Series Showdown. Once again, my name is Leah, aka Windflower Leah.
And this is Blep, Denotification Academy, and we're getting through these matches much faster than I think we're used to casting.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched on that earlier, right? So we're already moving on to Group 3. We're going to be going to Hanabe versus Mayoi, but these matches are going by very quickly. Of course, they are very decisive 2-0s, but part of it is because of the current meta. It's, you know, focused around that hyper magic, or at least magic, very, very aggressive tech, right? And it's just impossible to play stall to get those longer matches at the moment. So very fast games, but we've already had Nyahida versus Ria, Nyahida going 2-0. And then Mistake versus Jibu, which is like the triple rematch of the century, Jibu going 2-0 as well. So we're gonna have to see if the trend continues with Hanabe versus Mayoi.
Yeah, Hanabe and Mayoi, I think, you know, if the Hanabe, the name looks familiar, they did most recently appear in Season 1 of Cat's Tail Finals in NA side, coming in 3rd over there. And Mayoi we haven't seen for a while, but they did play in the North American Duels, which is like the first official tournament for the global scene.
Yeah, I think Jibu was also there, right? So
yeah.
But here we go. Here is our... Sorry, go on.
Oh, so that was a very exclusive event for sure.
It was. I think it was like the first live event we had for TCG. So they were definitely testing the waters then. But here we go. This is the Group 3 bracket. So Mayoi already beat Hanabe notably at the beginning here. So this is another rematch. Maxim making it to the Prince Cup. Taking out Meteorites, who's also a very veteran player in the scene. But yeah, we do have this rematch between Hanabe and Mayoi for that last spot in the Prince Cup tournament.
Yeah, should be an interesting one. This group, certainly not as stacked as the last one, but I think all the players here in this series showdown are very capable in their own right.
Oh, and here we go. We just saw this deck played. It is the Lini Eshtaha Seahorse combo. With
yeah, we saw it pop off.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll see if Mayoi can get as lucky as Jibu did in that last game.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we were notified about this, right? So this player did not submit their decks to the Astro team in time. So we will only be seeing Mayoi's deck on stream. So whatever Hanabe's playing today is going to be a surprise for us.
It is going to be a surprise, yeah. And of course, I remember this was a blind pick, so both the decks... oh, here we go. Both the decks playing against each other, they would not have guessed. It is a mirror.
It's a mirror. Okay, so, I mean, we can expect it to be very similar to Mayoi's.
Have you played this mirror before? Because I have not. No?
No.
Okay.
I haven't played this mirror before.
Mirror matches get very interesting in GITCG because they tend to play very differently, and it matters a lot who goes first. So I didn't catch the die roll just now, but we'll have to see who is the first one. It looks like Mayoi is having some troubles on their side a little bit, even though Hanabe's stream is going ahead. Not sure what's going on, but hopefully we'll get it sorted out soon. Okay. We're good. So who went first? Okay, so Mayoi starting first, I think, is a significant advantage, but it mostly will come down to how good their hands are.
Is that Flowing Rings or Heart of Caverna? I didn't
That was Flowing Rings.
That
was Flowing Rings.
Yeah. So, yeah, Flowing Rings is a very interesting card. Every time you do a normal attack, you draw a card. Once per round, 0-cost artifact, and it's great on Lenny because his prop arrow actually counts as a normal attack. So he gets to draw a card with it and apply pyro damage.
Yeah, and right off the bat, Mayoi's hand looking pretty decent. Obviously, again, as I mentioned in the last game, having Jet in the opener is actually a bad thing. So you'd much prefer to draw a later on and have more card draw, but we'll see what this Flowing Rings gives Mayoi. Hanabe's hand, though, not great.
I think she was having some technical difficulties, maybe, because...
Maybe. Could be a connection issue here, so we'll have to see. Eagerly waiting to see what happens. I mean, they could also just be thinking, right? Like, thinking time is very important at these high-level matches, and it's very easy to slip up. Like, if you slip up only a little bit against these decks that are combo-centric, you can just end up losing on the spot. So...
Was that a Liar song she drew?
It is a Liar song, yeah.
Not the best thing to draw at the moment, but I mean, when that Sealy procs, it will definitely be good for Mayoi. I feel like a lot of this mirror is going to come down to, like, each player's card draws, right?
Yeah, and both sides actually started with not great openings, although Mayoi having drawn that Sealy versus the 0 card draw on Hanabi's side already puts her at a significant advantage for sure.
It is now Hanabi's turn. Has a very similar hand actually when you look at it. Liar,
Well,
or...
it's the thing is that the hand has 0 card draw and there's 0 ways to trigger that Dunyazad. So even though it looks similar, it's actually a lot worse. Like this is going to be a very difficult turn for Hanabi to deal with.
Yeah, the flowing
I'm not
rain
sure what you can
Sealy
do.
is definitely more card draw than 0.
Ooh, he's gonna have to play this to
using
fix as well.
Folded. I wonder if we'll actually see the Liar Song this turn.
Oh, I mean that would be very bad, I think, for Hanabi, but they might be forced into that line. Although we're more likely to see that Seed Box get tuned, or maybe that War Princess to skill again on Seahorse.
Mayoi swaps onto Seahorse. Likely we'll see the same thing here. Yep. Now the question is, does Hanabi tune skill? Are they both gonna skill?
I don't think Mayoi is going to skill here. Tuning 2 is probably too expensive. I think you want to keep all those cards in your hand. Unfortunately, Mayoi didn't draw like a Liben here, because I think if you had a Liben, you would almost certainly just play it and pass.
I wonder if she's
might
gonna be
just
forced
see a
to play her Jet. It could be a normal attack, you're right.
Yeah, a Jet is an option, so you could play Dunyazad and Jet. And, yeah, okay, so it's going to be that line. Yeah, I don't think I like normal here, so this makes the most sense. Wait.
Ooh. Choosing
What?
to not play Jet. I guess she's keeping it a secret?
That's really surprising. Well, so one of the reasons you wouldn't play Jet that is because Jet does take up a lot of like. One of the other reasons why Jet is so bad in the opening is because she takes up that space in the companion zone. It actually becomes a liability if you play her too early. So I can see that, but I think getting that dice efficiency, especially off of that Dunyazad and drawing another card, is almost too important. So I'm not sure if I like that myself.
I mean, I'm wondering, like, if you draw Yayoi or another, like, 1-cost support, you'd want to play it too, right?
Exactly. Floating 2 is a lot. Both sides now just have really scuffed openings, I've got to say. Like, they're not ideal at all. And they must look really weird from the other side.
This is very interesting, by the way. So, Hanabi did end up using that Liar Song to pull back that Gilded from Linny, played it on Seahorse, so they could skill without tuning. And with that end of turn summon, it's actually going to give Hanabi a card.
Yep. He is going to get a card of that a little bit late, but, you know, with those 2 Seed Box... Oh, actually, double Seed Box, double Sealy is actually the perfect way for Hanabi to recover here. I think, given how much of a weird opening Mayoi did in round 1, as Hanabi, you can be pretty sure they're not going to go off on round 2, like we saw Jibu almost do in the last match. So I think you're pretty safe to just deploy the Seed Boxes and the Sealies here, and then round 3 is going to look very good, I think, for Hanabi.
Ooh. Mayoi drawing that Aishaha talent, and there's Yayoi. Chen coming down, proccing Dunyazad once per game companion draw. Into Aishaha talent.
And you can see why, like, playing Jet there was not playing Jet. Sorry, in round 1 was kind of important, because had Mayoi deployed Jet, then there would be no room to play Dunyazad at this moment. Sorry, not to play Yayoi. Although hasn't really drawn any artifacts worth equipping yet, anyway.
Hanabi's turn. I'm very certain we're gonna see the double Seed Box, double Sealy. I don't see a world where we don't.
Yeah, there's really nothing else going on in Hanabi's hand. I mean, they could go for a Jet to just draw a card off of Dunyazad and see what they get. But I think the question is, though, if you're Hanabi, do you swap over to Aishaha? Because your opponent just used the talent, so if you skill here, you are giving them a free dice. We could actually see, we could actually see Aishahas going off against each other, and then it's just Geo versus Geo, preventing any side from getting extra dice from reactions.
This is like the true definition of a mirror match, except Mayoi did have Aisha talent, so she's able to stall out a bit better than Hanabi at the moment.
Yeah, Mayoi's hand still is better than Hanabi's by a decent amount until those 2 Sealies go off. If Hanabi can survive long enough to draw the 6 cards off of the 2 Sealies, I think they're going to be in a position to win. Just because I don't think Mayoi has quite good enough of a hand and had to waste those 2 dice at the beginning of the game.
Now the question is, so Hanabe swaps the Aishaha, right? But what is the plan here in doing that?
I think you just start skill. I mean, we could see a swap back even. There could be some kind of swap stall going on, but I think you just want to build energy on Aishaha. But Hanabe is a turn behind, unfortunately. They did get more damage out, but yeah, you have to normal here.
But they only have enough dice for 1 normal. Unless they tune Boar. Also, they played Jet, so they can't swap on the linear or anything. They're forced to for 2 actions.
Really don't love that Jet play. I mean, it makes sense if you're digging for like a second Dunyazad or a Liban specifically, but you know, Yayoi isn't a good draw off of Dunyazad. You don't really want a second Dunyazad or another Jet, so I think that's a pretty questionable play to play Jet. Again, support zone space is actually a resource you have to manage very carefully in these Jet decks, and if you mismanage it even a little bit, you can get yourself into a really tough spot.
Oh, not going for that second seed box into Sealy, but it's gonna be way too late to play it later on.
Well, at this point, you're probably saying that you... I mean, there's 2 things that Hanabe could be doing. One thing that you can do is sometimes you want to stagger your Sealies. If both Sealies go off at once, you're very likely to overdraw. So sometimes it's correct to play 1 Sealy, get 1 stack on the first one, and then play the second one. But we'll have to see if Hanabe does opt to go for that.
If Hanabe does do that, the card they would have to tune is probably Boar Princess, right? Or would you tune Yayoi here?
You might actually tune the second seed box. It's very possible that Hanabe isn't going to play the second Sealy because they want to tune the seed box, but we can see the advantage here that Mayoi is getting by going first, being able to put out damage on Aishaha and get energy faster.
Wait, Mayoi has Sunyata and another Aishaha talent.
Yeah, Mayoi drew into a very good set of cards here. So they might actually, especially if Hanabe just ends here on Aishaha and then Mayoi gets to use the Gamblers as well to generate extra dice, it could be irrecoverable for Hanabe here.
I feel like playing that Jet when you're Hanabe, like you can't swap off and do another action here. Ooh, tuning that other seed box, so and going for a normal. Really not playing that Sealy. That's interesting. I mean, that's going to be a significant lack of card draw.
It is, yeah. And Mayoi really has a choice here. Do they want to just go for a round 2 burst here with Jet? I don't think Jet is at quite enough stacks. It's so hard to keep count. I even have trouble keeping count my own games, but I think she's at probably like 2 or 3 right now. So definitely not enough to get dice off of Aishaha's burst, but taking out Aishaha is actually pretty reasonable.
We should designate one of us to keep track of Jet stats.
True.
Just, like, have a piece of paper in front of us and just mark off like tally 1, 2, 3.
That's probably my job, so I should probably be the one doing it.
Yayoi, Mayoi playing Yayoi. That rhymes. I wonder if we're going to see Aisha talent here, or if she's going to look to end. Was that Boar Princess she played?
That was Boar Princess, so we're almost going to see certainly see a Gambler's equip here. I think Mayoi's just using extra time to think if they want to go for anything further than just the Gamblers. But Gamblers plus that Aisha talent will get them to have 2 more actions this round.
Yeah, Heart of covering it down, and then you replace it.
Oh.
Wait, ooh, they put Heart on Linny. And then
it's the same either way.
Yeah, it is the same either way.
Yeah.
Gamblers goes on Aishaha. Now the question is, do you talent here and then go for it?
I mean, the order doesn't really... I mean, if you don't want to tune as many dice, you would probably talent here.
Sunyata? What do you get? Wait, is she gonna go for Jet?
It looks like... I think that's just a tune, yeah. Just tuning the cards you get of Sunyata, which actually getting Jade Chamber at the spot would have been actually pretty good. Not gonna lie.
Aisha's Elemental Verse coming down, taking out the opposing Aisha. And of course, you know, Gambler is refreshing those 2 dice. Hanabe is forced to end here. Oh, there's Gilded.
I mean, it's still not over for Hanabe yet because Mayoi used up a lot of their resources. Yeah, not going for the... So yeah, going for the Aisha talent would be bad because you... Remember, Aisha generates 1 dice of each color, and so using it there would have given a Geo, Electro, and a Pyro, which doesn't let Aisha skill again. So I do like this quite a lot.
See
It's
how
so-
dice roll here.
Yeah, this matchup is so different because there isn't freeze. It's kind of crazy how different it plays out when you don't have to play around freeze, despite, again, the decks being very similar in terms of the cards that they use.
I think it's not just the freeze, like the actual character matchup, but also like what they physically draw on their hands. Because if you get builded, if you have a bunch of card draw, like that's gonna affect what you do, right? So
Yeah, I mean, both players though often like not ideal starts. I mean, you have to remember that Mayoi did end up wasting 2 dice in round 1, and every dice really matters. Like if there was a way for them to keep those 2 extra die into this round, it would have been much better. But unfortunately, having to throw away those two dice already puts them at a pretty big disadvantage, despite going first.
it is now Hanabe's turn. Has double Yayoi if they wish to go for it. There's the other Sealy. I don't know if I like this.
I mean, I think if you're going to win in Hanabi's spot, you're almost certainly going to get 3 more skills off. The unfortunate thing though, Jet being at 1 stack kind of means that she's never going off, and that's kind of why I don't like having played her so early, because she's not really doing anything right now other than taking up space.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like if you were gonna go for the second Sealy, then you just play double seed box, double Sealy, right?
Yeah.
Wait.
Ooh.
Okay, so wait.
So
Okay.
just using Sealy and Seedbox to build up more stacks on Jet. Yeah, okay. I
Okay,
think
that
I can
makes sense.
see that.
That,
I think
that
you
makes more
have to do
sense.
this. It's really
Uh-huh.
unfortunate that you do, but you're kind of forced into this play just based on what you have right now.
A Heart of Karina coming down. I wonder if we're gonna see a boar. Yep. And that goes on Seahorse for more Electro Dice because Hanabe didn't have any. I think they had 1.
Ooh, another boar and a Caverina. That's a pretty good draw.
I feel like it could have been better.
It could have been better. So one thing to keep in mind, there's no way for Hanabe to get Jet up above 4. One thing to keep in mind, we didn't mention this because again, it's so complicated, but in order to actually get the dice off of Jet, you have to get her above 4 stacks. If she's not above 4, then using a burst will not give you any dice.
Yeah, and the board doesn't do anything because you have
No.
one more stack left of the first one already and only 1 artifact to replace, so yeah, Hanabe, I feel like Hanabe really needed that additional card draw from the other Sealy. I feel like it's going to bite them in the future.
I mean, Mayoi still has to be careful because obviously we know that Hanabe can't trigger the Jet with the cards in hand, but Mayoi doesn't know that. So you have to play around as if your opponent could have 4 extra dice this round.
Yeah, definitely. Mayoi, of course, having a totally free builded to play, and A-Shot talent, and another Sealy. That Jet still at only 2 stacks as well for her, but...
It should... Yeah, I mean, the crucial thing is, though, Mayoi hasn't drawn those 2 cards with Chang, and then having another Sealy in this spot means that they'll have more chances even to draw into cards to build up the Jet stacks, whereas Hanabe's hand is pretty much stuck. They do have the Gilded on Seahorse, so if they can get another reaction going, then they will be able to draw more cards, but I think Mayoi's going to play in a way to not allow that to happen. Ooh.
Oh, there's the overload onto Linny, and I feel like Mayoi is probably baiting out Linny to take out Seahorse, right?
I think so, yeah.
Because if Mayoi is forced onto Aishaha, then you could just play Aishaha talent and stall the rest of the rounds.
Yeah. Oh well, you probably want to use up that pyro as quickly as possible, but it's still pretty precarious, I think, if you're in Mayoi C, because again 4 cards for your opponent's side could be an extra like 3 or 4 dice if they're the exact right cards to do so. Here we go.
Ooh. And so Hanabe is going for that overload, forcing Mayoi onto Aishaha. Wait. Oh, the Gambler's coming a bit too late. Oof.
Oh. If Hanabe had the Gamblers there, because he could have board princessed into Gamblers as well, that's an extra like 3 or 4. That's what I mean. Like, if you have the perfect cards, it could be 3 or 4 dice out of nowhere, but because Hanabe just drew that Gamblers just a little bit too late, that's missing out on 2 or 3 extra die there.
And that's why I said that other Sealy is really coming back to bite Hanabe, unfortunately. But yeah, I think that was builded onto Ishaha.
Probably just to for more card draw. Okay, card draw is so important, right? Like you want to equip Gilded here, trigger the reaction on Lini so you can draw the cards.
For 1,000-year pain!
Crystallized shield, so good. And what card is it? It's a Sayada!
That's actually really
what Mayoi
huge.
needs. That is huge.
That's Mayoi might actually be able to win the game this round at this point. Yeah, with how low Lini and Seahorse are, unless Hanabe can somehow trigger that
Step
jet,
right
which is, we know is impossible, then it's pretty much over.
Wait. Okay. Maybe breakpoints. I'm wondering why Hanabe didn't play this second floor.
Well, Isaha can't take out Lini here, right? Because all of his skills only do 3, so playing ball here isn't too important.
Lini's skill healed him for 2.
Yeah, I like that swap a lot from Mayoi, playing around gamblers specifically. Even though the opponent didn't equip it when they took out Seahorse, could have drawn into it, so very heads up to swap off of Ishtaha here.
Yeah, and we know Hanabe did draw into it, so very, very good prediction from Mayoi. And of course, you know, Mayoi has a ton of dice at her disposal to sit and wait to see what Hanabe will do.
It's gonna be interesting. I don't know if Mayoi has enough cards in hand to actually also trigger the jet. Again, both players here are not rolling very well, so it's been very difficult for each of them to try and execute their game plan. So they're each trying to play around what each other could have, but both of them kind of have not a lot.
That swap stall is brutal. Hanabe can no longer take an action. Of course, Mayoi doesn't know that, but you do. Here's the liar taking back that Gilded from Ishtaha. I feel like we're almost certainly going to see a Sunyata at some point.
Yeah, probably see a Sunyata. I wonder if he even use the strategize here. So Mayoi has that Sealy that's about to trigger. It's a very good chance that they'll draw into enough die to burst on Lini while also being able to get Jet up to 5 or 6 stacks here.
Tuning Heart of Koharina. And we'll see, I think... Lini's gonna go for a skill, right?
We're just going for a prop arrow, probably. So I think Lini has a Heart of Cavarina on him, so Mayoi is, again, maximizing that card draw, and that's why the Gilded went onto Ishtaha instead of Lini.
Right.
So we're going to see 4 cards coming in from Mayoi here. And what we're looking for is a way to generate 2 extra dice.
This is kind of why Lini is so good, by the way, because... Oh, there's the other jet! But Lini can draw cards by damaging himself with prop arrow.
Unfortunately, that's not going to be... Okay, so what you probably want to do is you could probably play Liben and Sunyata, one of the Libens here, and hope to get something off of that. We could also see a strategize.
Yeah,
it might actually be correct.
No, go on.
I was saying it might actually be correct to spend that one, because the way the deck works, you can often draw more dice than you spend on strategize, so it might have been correct to just strategize there to see what you can get.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like Mayoi has already decided to try next turn, just considering the card draw she has.
Next turn is tricky though. The longer you let your opponent kind of stabilize, the more chance they have to draw into their own cards that are gonna be generate dice. It's so close.
That judgment on Mayoi's side is gonna be so crucial, I think. Because this is the round that Hanabe's gonna have to take a whole lot of actions, right, to go for a
Although
win.
Hanabe's going first, so if Hanabe's aware of Judgment, they can simply pre-play cards like War Princess. I guess War Princess is the only card right now that matters.
War's the only one that they could even play.
Oh, but they did draw double Liben Chain, which will let them remove enough support cards to get Jet up to 5.
Or yeah,
6.
They can War Princess, Gamblers, Seahorse, and play all those support cards and get Jet to 6 stacks, and then go for Burst, and then dice.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of unfortunate because you would have loved to have the 0 cost earlier in the game, but still, they're serving their purpose right now. We'll see them as they get replaced. Of course, replacing a support card counts as a discard, so you can see each time one of those 0 cost supports gets played, Jet goes up by 1.
Yep, and Jet's stacks are maxed at 6. So every time you use Elemental Burst and she has at least 5 stacks, she will give you the number of Omni Dice minus 2 stacks. So 4.
Insignificant human.
Okay, but the problem though is because there's no freeze to play with, right? Hanabe does have the dice advantage here, but Mayoi has more health in total right now. I think when after Linny uses his skill, because I think Linny's skill will take out Seahorse here and put Linny back up to 8. Oh, but then actually 4 is going to be a really important breakpoint. Oh, playing Judgment now?
Yep. Yes, I think you have to.
Do you?
Though Hanabe doesn't have any cards.
Yeah, Hanabe doesn't have any cards. There's no card draw there. Either way, the game is going to go down to all of the dice, so I guess it's okay no matter what. You have to elemental skill here, and then the question is your opponent able to do 8 damage to you before you do 4 damage to them? And I think the answer is no.
This is so close.
It's very close, but I think the breakpoints work in Mayoi's favor here.
I wonder if we're gonna see Sunyata here finally.
Yeah, we definitely will.
Mayoi is sitting on that second jet, and I think it's 2 seed dispensers there. Could definitely get both jets up to 6 stacks, but yeah, you have to
right.
You have to skill here because if you get overloaded, that extra damage is going to be irrecoverable. But 8 to 4, I think, is the perfect set of breakpoints here because Linny's damage comes in increments of 3. So Linny, no matter what sequence Hanabe uses here, it's going to be 3 plus 4 damage, which is 1 short to take out Linny at 8.
Also, I am spying on chat right now, and Mayoi said, I played Judgment before seeing they have no cards. So...
Brilliant. Okay.
It's okay.
I mean, it really doesn't matter because both sides are basically working with like 16 dice this turn. And it's not going to come down to how much dice you have, but whether or not you've mitigated enough damage. Because again, neither side uses food. And so every point of damage you take is permanent. There's no sustain from either side. And we're really seeing that come to the forefront now as Mayoi is able to win essentially the damage race that's happening.
Yeah, because there is no way for Hanabe to do 5 damage onto Liddy. You know, that prop surplus stack only at 1, so his skill would do 4. That breakpoint is exactly what Mayoi needs. It is exact.
I mean, part of the... One thing I also want to call out here, remember, Mayoi did go first, and in these mirror matchups, especially with these hyper magic decks, going first is very crucial because you are 1 step ahead of your opponent, and this is exactly when it's coming into fruition.
There we go.
At least we get to see...
Very flashy, right?
Yeah, yeah. This is the correct way to play. Jibu, take notes.
A round of applause!
Here we go. Linny's Elemental Burst coming out. That is going to give Mayoi an additional 8 dice, which doesn't matter because Hanabe's Linny's at 1 HP.
Yeah. Look at all those dice on both sides. Yeah. Hanabe knows it. 1 damage off.
1 to 1. 1 HP to 1 HP.
But this is where that coin flip difference is coming in, and it's very unfortunate in this matchup, yeah, especially in the mirror.
Quick! Drop!
What? Okay, congratulations to Mayoi for taking... I think it was the first match, right? In Group 3's set, so...
It was one of the longer matches we've had.
That was definitely the longest one I think we've seen today, and I think part of it is because the card draw just wasn't there on both sides. And I've said this so many times throughout that match, but I feel like Hanabe not playing that second Sealy really came to bite them.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of the main differences you saw, you know, Mayoi chose not to play a jet and you basically waste 2 dice in round 1 because I think they realized how important it was to save that support space for the card draw cards that hopefully they would draw into later. Whereas Hanabe opted not to do that, played that jet early, and really didn't do anything with it. And that support space, I think, forced them to make some unfavorable cards. I mean, if they had gotten 3 more cards off of a second Sealy, it could have looked very different.
Yeah. And notably, I think Mayoi did play the second Sealy and got cards from it in the end. So, Hyper Magic really boils down to your card draw in the beginning and how much card draw you can generate from your card draw, right? So, also, wait! It's MNEC with Electricity.
It is. Yeah, this is one of the newer decks that kind of popped up with Electrocism having just been added. You know, normally Fischl is played in Electrocism Mage's spot, but honestly right now Fischl is even too slow for the current metagame, but Sisson with her talent is able to power out a lot more electro damage, and so we're seeing a resurgence here. Again, aggro decks are very good right now, they're just not as consistent as they used to be.
And once again, just a reminder, we're not going to see Hanabe's decks because unfortunately they did not submit them on time, but it's kind of crazy to think of a meta where Fischl is too slow.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
It is very weird. I mean, we are in strange times right now.
Fischl's been a staple for so long.
So long, yeah. Ooh. I think Hanabi's playing the same deck. By these event cards, yeah, it is going to be the same deck.
Oh yeah. So this
it's
is
an honor to be here.
Because this is conquest format. Even though they are not pre-submitting their decks, basically if they win a game with a deck, they can no longer play any of the characters in that deck again. And otherwise they're free to pick whatever they want, so...
Yeah. The opening hand for Hanabe much better now, you know, he had that Dunyazad and Liben, both of which will draw extra cards, so... This is almost, I would say this is, aside from maybe the Liar Song thing, a pretty optimal opening off of Hanabe here.
Let me amuse
you want to explain what this one does?
Yeah, so the Sisson talent what essentially does is anytime the Electro Sissons on the top right there that are summoned get to 3 stacks, then it will fire off a bolt immediately at the start of your turn. So it basically allows you to get a lot of extra hits. And one of the unique things about Sisson, one of the advantages of playing her over Fischl is anytime your opponent plays 3 action cards, or 3 basically of any card, it'll increase the summon stack by 1. And we saw how many cards Hyper Magic plays, so I really like this deck choice into the current metagame.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. And you know, of course, Electro Systems one of like the newer cards. Was it this patch that she was released, or was it last patch?
Yeah, it was. It was this one.
It was this patch. Yeah, I feel like, you know, the devs must have known that, you know, with all these cards being played, things are prioritizing heavy card draw and dice generation, right? So,
exactly.
Electro Systems kit is definitely good right now.
Yeah, but a little bit inconsistent. Obviously, you know, Mayoi did very skillfully draw the talent in round 1, which is exactly when you need it. So this is about as good of an opening aside from the dice. The one thing that's going to be a problem right now is Mayoi's dice is not very good. Yeah, force use a normal attack here.
Only 1 Hydro. Don't want to tune anything in hand. I don't want to tune 2 of anything in hand, right?
Yeah. I almost wonder if Mayoi should have not equipped the heart there on Mona and instead just gone for the Gilded. Because I think Gilded there, if you used a skill on Mona, will draw you 2 extra cards, which is very much worth playing it that early.
Hanabe's draw is so much better this game, by the way.
It's so good. Yeah, it's actually quite good.
Gilded and Hanabe sitting on Asaha talent. I wonder if we could see the round 2.
Yeah, these are the types of openings that definitely make round 2 possible. I mean, I think the longer the game goes, the more Mayoi is favored, especially being able to draw that talent. Although, honestly, missing that Mona skill is very important because it's a surprising amount of damage because not only do you miss out on 1 Electro Charge, but it's like 2 more Hydro hits as well.
Players thinking through their next turn on the dice rolls. I mean, the timer goes down, you don't have a lot of time to think, right? So that is a good time to consider your next moves. Double Sunyata on Hanabe's side.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Obviously, there are no jets as of now, so the Sunyata is not going to be quite as effective, and no card draw. So Hanabe's kind of blocked a little bit now on getting more cards, so it's going to be a priority for them. I think so. We could see a Gilded equip here.
Yeah, I mean, Hanabe has Liar Song Gilded in hand. I'm forgetting what artifact is on Seahorse right now. I wonder if he could Boar replace.
I believe it's Heart. Yeah. So we could see a Boar here.
Yeah, Boar replaced with Gilded, right?
Yeah. Both Boar and Gilded essentially do the same thing. I think you'd probably want to save the Heart. Again, card draw is so important right now. I think getting rid of the Heart
Prepare
is
to be amazed.
Not ideal.
Yeah, but you would be trading it for a card draw with Gilded because you trigger the elemental reaction on Mona, right? But
yeah, true.
we do see a swap onto Linny from Hanabe.
That's a little bit surprising. I would have expected Age to Her with those 2 talents, but maybe trying to just
Shadows of
fade
Fate.
out the Mona summon here and then go to Age to Her.
You're managing those auras. I didn't catch what Mayoi tuned.
Oh, I didn't either. I was too... Oh, but yeah, you're right. They had to choose something. The dice are really bad again. This is not a great opening for them.
This isn't a great opening for her, but 2 Dendro dice, Gilded in hand, we could
You
definitely
dare overstep your mortal authority?
Yeah. But the swap to Age to Her makes sense. I think Linny definitely was there to just soak up that Hydra hit.
I think Hanabe is in a good spot to, if the card draw is right with, oh, well, it's gonna depend on if Hanabe can get an elemental reaction off with Gilded.
Mm-hmm.
But
And we're gonna see
if that one card draw is right, could do something as well.
Yeah, we're probably gonna see Mayoi go for a 5-cost here on Nahida, which is actually pretty rare, but given how the dice is working out, I don't think you would consider anything else.
Have to tune that food probably, right?
Or I haven't lost yet. I mean, the deck is gonna pretty much take you out in 1 turn, so there could be a reason to tune I haven't lost yet. Oh, just gonna be a regular skill.
Interesting. Okay. Maybe gonna play that food. It's probably Lotus Crisp. Maybe swap off the Mona and Lotus.
Yeah, could be. I think you want to stay on Nahida just to deny your opponent getting extra dice of Age to Her, because I think you'd be very afraid of losing this round. Your opponent still has 8 entire dice to work with, and that could very easily turn into 12 or maybe 16.
Here we go! The stall with Age to Her talent. Of course, Hanabe has 2 in hand. Also, I just want to appreciate the elemental aura management on Hanabe's side. Look, Linny has Hydro. Seahorse has Electro, and Age to Her has Dendro. It's beautiful, actually.
Yeah, and the other thing to notice, you know, you can see that little counter at the bottom of Age to Her, that's counting up for Electro Systems. Basically, if you remember, once you play 3 cards, you'll tick up the summon by 1. And so right now, Hanabe is at 2. So if they play another card, then it will increase the summon by 1, and that will also trigger it to fire immediately.
There we go.
So
the
swap.
Lotus on Mona and swap. So the good thing about ending on Mona is that you can always quick swap from her at the beginning of next round.
Yeah, going to Mona here is very surprising though, because it's gonna let Age to Her trigger the crystallize and give an extra dice. So this is actually making it a lot easier for Hanabe to go off by going onto Mona here.
Yeah, and also that Gilded. So Gilded equip onto Age to Her. Hanabe's also going to draw a card from this. And we'll see if
Will
it's
not
exactly
absolve
what
you!
Jet. Oh.
That is actually exactly what you needed. So I think Jet's currently at 1 stack. Those double Senatas will put up to 3. So based on what the scenarios draw, there's actually a very real chance that Hanabe does have a round 2 here. And it might not be a round 2 win, but Hanabe could very realistically take out enough characters to make it impossible for Mayoi to come back.
Yeah, and here we go. Mayoi ending the round, has nothing left for this round for her. We'll see how Hanabe responds. Has a ton of resources at their disposal. You know, notably, the card draw is way better than it was last round.
Yeah.
Have to think.
We are still...
now?
You definitely could, if you think you're going to go off this round. I think you kind of have to see what the Senatas give you before the Senata this turn.
Oh!
Okay.
Oh, this is the cool thing about Aisha too, because he can absorb an element, so he could just trigger his own crystallized reactions. You don't have to swap back and forth. You can just stay on him with that Gilded.
Prepare to be amazed.
Wait.
Oh. So it looks like he's gonna wait a little bit on the burst and triggering Jet, because yeah, I think Jet is not quite at enough stacks. So I'm gonna play a little bit slow.
You know you're gonna get from Senyata. Why not play Senyata first to see what you get?
It must be because Hanabe wants to keep Yayoi and Dunyazad around for next round, because with that Gilded in hand, Yayoi still has a purpose. Is going to be an extra +1 die. So playing a little bit slower, which I think is okay. Given your opponent hasn't taken a super aggressive line either, right? They were forced to normal attack on Mona round 1, and then you managed to avoid those reactions into round 2. So I think you're in a decent enough spot to play a slightly longer game.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it was me, I would have gone for the burst there, because I think taking out Mona is pretty big. Ooh.
Wait. 4? Are they gonna Liar Song the Gilded on Aisha? They are. Okay. So 3 dice, it's another action. Do you go for Senyata now then? No?
No, now you wouldn't go for Senyata. I think that was mainly just to draw another card. I think Hanabe realizes that their hand right now isn't quite good enough to trigger the jet. And so they're trying to draw into something with this Linny at the end of turn. This does put them on Sisson, which is the weakest character in this lineup. Ooh.
I'm very curious about this line that Hanabe took. Like, I don't disagree that playing it slower isn't, like, it is an option, right? Like, it's not a bad option. But I feel like this gives Mayoi a chance to respond.
It does, but Mayoi's opening wasn't very strong in round 2 either. I think if Mayoi had done more in round 2 and kind of pressured Hanabe with more damage, with like a double Nahida skill or something, it would have been a better place to try and go for a round 2 there. But honestly, Mayoi hasn't really drawn enough ramp, and they've already played, I think, 1 gilded, so it reduces the chance of them having a ton of dice this round.
Yeah,
So
but I'm just looking
okay.
at Hanabe's character's HP. Lenny has that Hydra Aura, and Seahorse is at 3 health, Lenny's at 5, Aisha is at 4, and Mayoi does have that free Gambler's equip, and I haven't lost yet. And Adeptus.
That's true. Yeah. Ooh. A normal attack.
That's very curious. That is very, very curious. What do you do with a normal attack?
I mean, I think Mayoi had to, based on, like, I think if we saw the die, they have 3 Hydro, and I think it was only 1 Electro, so their dice aren't cooperating with them at this point, which really is limiting what actions they can do here. Oh, here we go.
We go Hanabe playing 4. I'm almost certainly gonna play that Gilded, I guess, over... No, they're gonna sacrifice Seahorse.
Yeah, there's already a Gilded in play. They probably want to play their Gilded, the second Gilded now, before they lose Seahorse. That's actually pretty important here.
It's that Yayoi discount, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
you
at
might
that
also...
point... Is it go on?
Oh, so you might also want to strategize here just to see what other cards do. Okay, so they do play the second Gilded.
Yeah, I was thinking you might as well just Senyata that Yayoi as well.
You definitely should, I think, because if you're not winning this turn, then you're not winning at all. Oh, okay. So the one reason not to play Senyata there, I guess, would be to not give your opponent another stack on their Sisson. So you could be trying to play around that, but I think at this point it's almost impossible. I mean, that's one of the ways you lose, is if you let your opponent trigger that Sisson talent one more time and fire off an extra shot. That might make the difference. Ooh.
So this is
Let me
really
stop.
unfortunate because Mayoi is forced to use gamblers on Mona, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Mona's definitely gonna go down, and
Prepare
Mayoi
to
loses
be
by gamblers
amazed.
and is only gonna have one more action left, even with I haven't lost yet.
Yeah, going over to Linny here. We might see a burst on Linny and then try and go for the jet here. But unfortunately, Hanabe's health.
Bad.
Mm-hmm. So now we're gonna go for the strategize. Yeah, I would have liked to go for the strategize earlier. If you're gonna strategize anyway this round, you'd been better to open with it just to give yourself more options. Because if you'd drawn that heart earlier, you could have equipped it onto Linny here and then got a free gilded instead of having to pay 1 dice. So we actually lost quite a lot of dice by not playing strategize earlier in the round. Yeah, these decks are so complicated to pilot.
Wait, Electrocism talent too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, if Hanabe plays too many cards, it is going to trigger. So 2 more cards will take Electro System count up to 3, and then it will fire a shot immediately. It might not matter though for the breakpoints, because Linny is already at 4. Really, a burst or a skill from Nahida or Sisson will take her out.
Does a burst actually take out Mona with the shield point? I forget if Lini's burst
it's
is
3.
3.
It's 3 damage. So here's the Senyata. Ooh, a Chang. Actually, oh, never mind. Lini probably just wants a skill here. Just to get back up to 6 health. I forgot he already had 2 stacks of prop surplus, so well, probably going to see a Lini skill here. And at 6, that should protect Lini from... Does that... Actually, that might... Adeptus Burst might be enough to do it, but then I don't think Mayoi has enough dice.
So... My brain is breaking here, trying to figure out what is happening in this game, because I think
Hanabe has it, based on just how the game has progressed so far. Mayoi just simply doesn't have enough dice right now in order to take out Ashtaha and Lini before the end of this round. They would need to get to the end of round 3 without losing, but because Hanabe does have Jet and then all of those other cards in hand, is going to be able to take it out. Ooh, is he going to burst? I think a burst here is a mistake.
I don't think you can really go for a burst just yet. Jet is only at 2 stacks. You'd have to play Liven Chang, Senyata, see what you get, and hope that it's low cost and...
True.
Step right up.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think going
My
for a
reckoning
skill is good. Like you were saying earlier, just to kill Lini up to 6. Now the question is, where does Mayoi go?
I think you can go to Nahida and burst. That might actually be your best option right now. Although that Sisson talent is about to trigger as well, so it is going to fire off another shot and put Lini down to 4 again. So Lini's going to heal 2, then go down to 4 again.
Can you remind me what Electro System Burst does? It gives you shield points, right?
It does give you shield points, yeah. It does 1 damage, and then it's a prepare skill, so it's actually going to pass the turn back to Mayoi, but it is a prepare skill. Oh, actually, that's gonna be exactly enough. Although,
that gambler is always coming just a little bit too late with these games.
Yeah, it still might come up though. With how low Mayoi's characters are, I think that gambles could still come up. So still a very good draw here, especially. Ooh, a quick wait. Not sure. Okay, maybe just playing that for more time. Or trying to play around Judgment.
Very quickly.
It's very possible you're playing around Judgment here. Okay, so it's gonna go to. Okay, that's very strange.
I guess Mayoi probably changed her mind and decided to go for a burst onto Lini.
The
This
Temple
will
of
be enough to
Wisdom!
take Lini out, I believe. Night of Burst.
Yep.
4.
I'm wondering if Mayoi forgot to account for the extra damage from Sisson, because maybe they thought that Lini would be at 6, which would be out of range for the burst, but because that Sisson fired a shot immediately, it did put Lini back down to 4, which is in range of Nahida's burst. So, can Hanabe finish? Because if those summons go at the end of the round, Hanabe is doomed. But I think they have enough. Especially if this Senyata gives something useful.
We'll see, because Jet is only at 3 stacks. Okay.
Okay, but it doesn't even matter, because I think as long as Hanabe can get to 6 dice, which I think with Ashtaha talent gamblers is enough.
Gamblers, yeah.
This is enough. So Hanabe has 6 dice, which is exactly how much dice they will need to take out Sisson after Nahida goes down. He just has to hope that Mayoi doesn't have 2 more dice in hand. And we know that they do not.
Yeah, you just Ashtaha talent for...
Well, I think I'm gonna burst first. I guess either order doesn't matter, yeah. So
yeah, it doesn't matter what order you go in, because you need the dice to
hang on.
talent.
But if Mayoi swaps to Electro Assistant here, Nahida doesn't die to Ashtaha's skill. I think you wanted to take out Nahida there with the burst. But if Mayoi doesn't swap, it's definitely over. But I think if... No! Oh, I wonder if they do... Oh. I think... I mean, again, we know exactly what's in front of these hands, so it's very easy to see that. But I think if Mayoi had actually swapped to Electro Assistant there, Hanabe doesn't actually have enough dice in hand right now to finish off Nahida on 4.
But it wouldn't matter, right? Because you just don't go for the burst on Electro System.
Will not absolve you!
Oh, you're right, yeah.
So
yeah. Never
either
mind.
way, I think Hanabe won that.
Yep.
So what a game. Okay, so
Okay.
congratulations to Hanabe for taking the second match. For the first time ever, we're going into a best of 3, like actual
We are,
best of
yeah.
3, the third match. So once again, this is the third group in the Spring Series Showdown. So basically, whoever wins this set will be going on to compete in the Prince Cup tournament. And if they do so, they win $600 from that tournament. And yeah, these games.
Well, yeah, these games are going. I mean, that was probably one of the longer ones. This series has been one of the longer ones that we've had, but that game was very close. I think Mayoi definitely didn't draw optimally enough, and unfortunately, we saw Hanabe did have a very good opening hand and was able to kind of draw, not really into anything like super powerful with Jet, but just doing regular things with the deck.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like there were some slight misplays from both sides there. I feel like, you know, Electro Sisson self-applies Electro when you burst with her, right?
She does,
so, I guess
That
the
could've come up.
crystallized reaction. I don't know. There's just so many like little things that you would have to like go back and watch the match again to see what it was that was like a game-breaking mistake. But here we are going into our third match. So Mayoi is bringing this Mona variant of the. I mean, it's usually Yelan OTK, right? But here we have Mona instead.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny how much that changes. So when you swap out Mona instead of Yelan, it goes from being a combo-centric deck to more of an aggressive deck. And so you can see the card choices here very much reflect that. You know, the Opera is a very common pick for any aggressive deck just to get extra dice in those early rounds as often as possible and pressure. And I like this choice into the current metagame. It's actually funny, we haven't seen anyone play Yelan currently.
Yeah,
No one's
not
brought it.
yet. And
Yeah.
we don't know how Hanabe brought just yet, though, because they didn't submit their decks in time. So we're gonna have to
they
see
of course
how Hanabe responds.
Yeah, they of course can't play the same deck they just played. Oh, is it Mew? I see Timaeus.
I see Judgment. It could be Mew.
Mew, of course, standing for Mona Eula Wanderer, which that deck is always really funny because people play it a lot, but it's historically been one of like the worst performing decks. Oh,
what was
it's
the
this
win rate?
version.
What was the win rate again in Asia Invitational
It was like
stage?
40 or 30%. It was low.
30%.
It was below
Okay,
50.
It was really low, but apparently it's really good in Hyper.
This is destiny.
This specific build, so we see Lee Hsu there, which is actually very unusual, but it is very good into Hyper Magic. Unfortunately, because you're trying to go for that matchup, it's actually worse into a lot of your other matchups. So I think in this one, already Mayoi is favored based on the deck choice. Oh, and perfect dice as well.
Because this is the first time we're not seeing true Hyper Magic on either side, right? So
Yeah. So, funnily enough, so Hanabe's deck was the deck I played a lot of in my Series Showdown matches, trying to hit my opponents playing, you know, the Hyper Magic decks. I did not do so. The 3 times I played Mona Eula Wanderer, 0 of those matches were into the favored matchup. And this is exactly what happened to me as well. With Hanabe right now going into Mayoi, trying to counterpick a Hyper Magic deck, but instead running into this aggro deck, which probably will not go so well, but we'll see.
And this is one of the downsides, right, to having like a format where you don't know what decks the other opponent brought. So you're kind of just like taking a shot in the dark and picking something, hoping that you're countering your opponent. But they're able to choose anything as long as they haven't won with it already. So it's really just a guessing game from both sides in this format. Of course, you know what they can't play if they've already won with it. We're not going to be seeing that Lineage Isaha deck from Hanabe after winning with it again, but
Yeah, they both won with that deck.
yeah, this
think,
definitely
right?
favors Mayoi.
Let me
Unfortunately, though, so Timaeus here not drawing the right artifact. So this deck runs 6 artifacts in order to use Timaeus properly.
Shadows of
2 of them are
Fate.
gamblers, and the other 3 are what you act. So the other 2 being gilded and instructors is what you want to draw of Timaeus. Oh, so we're gonna go for it again. Oh! Oh my god! That is the worst.
I was gonna jokingly say just play the other Timaeus, but no.
Oh, Hanabe there. So it's 33% chance you get that first gamblers, okay, and then it's basically 20% you get that second one. So this happens in, what would that be? 6% of games. If you play 100 games, 6 of them will turn out like this, and this is awful.
Basically, Timaeus will draw you an artifact card, I think, if you have 6 artifacts in your deck, right?
Yeah.
So, both Timaeuses played 2 dice each, by the way. That's 4 dice to draw 2 gamblers when you're looking for not gamblers.
It's the worst. Okay, so this deck is so cursed, right? So I was told that this deck beats the Hyper Magic decks, and so I tried playing it, but I this happened to me exactly. I played my Timaeuses, but I kept getting gamblers in like the games where I needed something else the most. Oh no.
Gamblers is a really good card, like, you know, especially if you're like newer to Genius of Vacation, right? Gamblers is one of those cards that has been a staple in the game for a long time. You get it, and it's like, wow, I can get all these dice back, and you want it, but you don't want it that early, especially in this meta. You want it more like when you're about to be winning the game and actually taking out characters, because you don't get anything from it unless you can actually take out your opponent's characters.
What do you want from me?
Yeah, and unfortunately, also, Hanabe doesn't have any card draw, so the one way you could get out of this is if you had some way to draw additional cards, maybe with Gilded or Strategies or something, to maybe pull one of those artifacts naturally, but he has none of those things. So it's really unfortunate, but like this is, I would say this is almost irrecoverable, because Mayoi did get off to a very good start, you know, having that 3 Hydro, 3 Electro in the opening as well, not having to tune to skill on both characters. This is not good.
This is not good, unfortunately. I mean, Mayoi has Lyre, Gilded, Opera, Junior in hand. I could easily play Gilded here.
Okay, I want to point out something that's really funny. So Mayoi is holding on to Opera because I think they're thinking if they play Opera, your opponent has 2 Timaeuses, they're almost certainly going to beat you in equipments. But the funny thing is, Hanabe doesn't have enough equipments in hand to actually stop the Opera if Mayoi plays Gilded. So Mayoi could actually play Gilded right now, but is not, because they think they won't be able to trigger it, I think. Which is really funny.
This is so tragic, by the way.
It's very tragic.
So, Hanabe had a chance with the 2 cards they drew at the start of this turn to at least get like Gilded or something, Instructor or something. I think it was Quick Swap and that 0-cost NSC that they drew, which is not what you want.
Yeah, I mean, Mayoi's in a tricky spot. So I think, you know, looking at opponent with 2 Timaeuses, you have to at least play around the fact that, this is not playing around it. I was thinking they would play around the fact that they have, they could potentially have a Gilded, which would let Wanderer burst here. But I guess it's fine if,
So the question is, if you're Mayoi, do you play Opera now and then Lyre? What is that artifact on TM? Is that Heart?
I actually don't know. It might be Hot.
But then you Lyre it, you play Gilded, and then you get card draw.
Yes. I think that's probably going to be the play. Oh, it's a Tandori.
Ooh!
I think that's enough.
It is.
Oh no, wait, it's a 1-off?
It is not enough. So
interesting. Okay.
4.
Huh.
4.
It is as the stars foretold.
Only 1, right?
Yep.
6, 7. Yeah, it's only 7.
And that was a slight miscount there, because I think if Hanabe did have the burst there, it would have been, I think, pretty bad, because I think that does do 8 damage, and then we'll apply Hydro to all of Mayoi's remaining characters. But unfortunately, we know that Hanabe has nothing good going on. Oh my gosh.
I don't think it even matters though, because like, what is Hanabe gonna do in this situation, right? This is irrecoverable. Like, even the Wanderer is alive.
So the good thing is Mayoi doesn't. So if Mayoi was able to burst here on Thunder Manifestation, it would have been like completely over. But unfortunately, not able to burst yet. I'm really not sure about that Tandori. You know, if it doesn't take out Wanderer, it might have been a miscount. Oh, so was it? Okay, so that's why I didn't play Gilded, because it was a Shadow of the Sand King.
Yeah, it was Shadow of the Sand King, but okay, Drew Lotus, not exactly what you want here, but you know, with a boar, maybe Mayoi could have done something.
Yeah, I think they must have miscounted Tandori, because if you didn't Tandoori there, you could have actually bursted on Thunder Manifestation, and I think it would have turned out almost exactly the same. Oh,
Oh my gosh.
This is insulting.
Insult to injury, honestly.
I can't believe it.
This
That
is
is-
brutal to watch. Both instructors coming at the wrong time.
Yeah, I mean, that's so unfortunate. And I would also
What do
want
you
to
want
add
from me?
instructors. Out of the 4 remaining artifacts, is the worst one. If he had actually drawn double gilded, Hanabe could have had a chance of coming back because that's 4 extra dice. But instructors doesn't quite give enough dice here. Oh man.
But I do think Wanderer Burst, you have the quick swap from
Yep.
Mona, and Hanabe's gonna be able to Wander Burst here, get 2 dice back with those gilded.
Bow
That's
your
the free
head.
equip of that instructors onto Zula, so let's see.
Yeah, this might actually still be winnable. I mean, Eula is going to be able to lock out Mayoi's characters, and with those freezes, that might actually be enough, because I think Mayoi, with that Tandoori play last time and not actually taking out Wanderer, was actually pretty huge.
Yeah, and both Mona and Signora have that Hydro Aura, right? So
Yep.
yeah, this is gonna be hard for Mayoi, I think.
I mean, I think you have to go Mona.
What if you go Signora and slow swap on the Mona?
That
And then-
actually is an option. Yeah, I think that's actually also a viable option.
And then force Hanabe to slow swap on the Eula, and then you go for Hydro Aura, you Mona skill, and then you quick swap onto Signora. Oh,
I do think that's the right play, but I think either way it's going to be very difficult for Mayoi to come back from here. Wow, I can't believe Hanabe actually made it through those terrible Tobias draws.
I wonder if Hanabe has this in the bag, actually.
I think given the dice counts, it might actually be their win at this point, because it's very difficult for Mayoi to do anything through the freeze.
Yeah, also quick swap doesn't matter here because of instructors, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think what Mayoi has to hope for is that Hanabe doesn't actually have enough dice to finish off Signora, and they can maybe win at the beginning of the next round. But Signora's certainly flipping over this turn into the Pyroform. Of course, once she drops below 4 HP, then at the beginning of the next round, she will always flip
Beg for
into
mercy.
Pyro and lose her revive.
And of course, instructors refunding that 1 cryo dice, so Hanabe has 1 more action. It's not going to be enough to win this round, so the question is, how does Mayoi respond? Do you go
There's a good
for
chance-
the-
I don't think you swap. If you swap, you always lose. I think you might actually just have to end on Mona here. But then, yeah, if you end on Mona, you can apply Hydro to Eula, but then what Hanabe can do is just swap onto Mona and then finish the game next round as well. So I don't think there's a winning line here, Mayoi, unfortunately. If you swap, you lose. If you end turn now, you lose as well.
Well, the breakpoints are really good, though, for Signora. If
It's
Mayoi
true.
could keep her above 5 HP, then Mayoi has, cryo, at least.
Well, there's
going
no-
next turn.
With Eula getting to go again, there's no chance of that. So Eula's going to be able to skill here to either force the revive or just burst. We probably will see a skill here. I don't think burst makes sense.
I mean, if Mayoi had stayed on Mona,
Vengeance will be
no
mine.
worries left with- Hanabe only has 1 more action, but
True. Okay.
yeah, there we go. Eula burst, and nothing left in Hanabe's hand at all. So,
So
I mean,
do you-
Signora is gonna flip here,
hmm
and
So that revive is gonna come in really important here, because it is gonna tank that Eula burst damage and kind of overkill on Signora quite effectively.
Yeah.
Ooh, we're gonna see a finish on Mona burst.
We might.
Gosh.
Also, Judgment's not gonna be up next round too. So I
True.
think Mayoi actually has the win here.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what I think Hanabe probably needs to. Well, I guess it doesn't need to swap either. Maybe staying on Eula is actually correct. This is really
So-
close.
Question, remind me, does Sheer Cold activate before summon?
Because Mayoi ended first, the summon is going to hit and then the Shake Hold. So Eula's going to start the turn with Cryo on her and going to be at 3.
That's so bad.
Yeah, I think you have to swap out onto Mona here.
That's gonna be so bad either way because if Eula or Mona has an aura, of course, Signora's gonna flip to Pyro.
Yeah, actually, no. If you swap to Mona, you always lose because you're gonna get frozen by their I don't think the deck. Yeah, the deck doesn't run Fresh Wind, unlike the normal. So a Fresh Wind would be really good here, but unfortunately, the deck does run Judgment, and so that's not gonna be able to save Hanabe here.
That's it. I mean, Eula just dies to melt.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, yeah. I guess she would.
Because sheer cold. Yep. So Signora, oh my gosh, Shattered is nothing, you just overkill. Redemption back. She was already gonna flip anyway. Inferno's Awakening. Oh,
now that Heavy Strike comes, I think that would have been really good last round.
I think this is in the bag.
We can't Heavy Strike on Mona attack normal, right? Didn't we cast a game where that was kind of the finishing move, a Heavy Strike Mona?
I think so.
I vaguely remember that. I think that's 1 damage off as well, which is crazy because that would do 3 damage.
I guess. Okay, there's Judgment. Yeah, see, Fresh Wind to Freedom is normally what Mew brings, but this variant of Mew has Judgment, and Hanabe already used it in earlier rounds. So, this is so unfortunate.
Yeah. With this Gambles here, it's almost certain to seal the deal. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that Hanabe can do.
There is nothing Hanabe can do.
We could see a food go on Signora here. I think that's probably correct, because there's nothing Mona will be able to do to take out Signora, especially through a Judgment. Without
Mona's Burst or any other, like anything else, like elevating her damage, she's really bad at doing more than 1 damage at a time. Yeah, normal attack is gonna be back. Eula falls here. 2 dice coming back to Mayoi. Only 1 more action needed.
Let me scroll.
Man, this Mew deck is so cursed, I swear. Every time you play it, you never match into the deck that it's good against, and then when you match into something different, you low roll like crazy.
All must burn.
Like this game.
Flashy ending.
This game would have looked so different if Hanabe had drawn anything other than double Gamblers, right? Like he could have gotten a burst off on one or a turn earlier. He could have gotten, the dice needed to freeze and burst on Eula a bit better in that last round. But oh man, that's probably the worst luck we've seen today.
I would have to agree. I was looking at that second Timaeus and I was like, is Hanabe gonna play it? Hanabe plays it, there's another Gambler. And we're just in stitches because that is the worst luck ever. It's so unfortunate.
Yeah, I think you do play it there. I mean, it's a 6% chance that you draw both of your Gamblers. So obviously you make the play that gives you a 94% chance of not bricking, and then if you still have that happen, I mean, really hats off to Hanabe. Like, given the play through to the very end, you can see they never gave up, right? Despite being so unfavored, despite drawing so badly, they still tried their hardest to claw back, and they almost did it. Like, it was so close. Or they probably needed Mayoi to stumble just a little bit as hard as they did, but unfortunately Mayoi drew a pretty average hand and was able to do enough damage to pressure Hanabe out there. So very well played there on both sides.
Very well played. One thing I want to mention though, as bad as the luck we saw in this match today was, I do want to say that a lot of the players we're seeing today and in general in the serious Showdown tournaments are repeats. They are veteran players. They have been top contenders of last year's tournament. So while luck is an important factor in this game, it is not the only factor. Of course, consistency and knowing your fundamentals and how to manipulate your dice and everything is also just as important. So this was unfortunately an example of how RNG can mess with your game, but it doesn't always happen. There are ways.
Doesn't always happen. Yep.
But yeah, congratulations to Mayoi. You'll be advancing to the Prince Cup Spring Tournament, and we have 1 more group left, I believe.
We do.
We'll be seeing
Best
it
group.
after a short break. Best group. Is that because you were in it? But he lost, so we won't be watching his games. But short break. We'll see you soon. And welcome back, everyone, to the Spring Series Showdown Americas. Once again, this is Leah, aka Windflower Leah.
This is Blep at Blep the Cat.
So, one thing I wanted to point out, this is our last group of today, right?
Yeah.
And all of these players today are playing for a chance to win a spot into the Prince Cup tournament, that live event that we first casted over last year in Los Angeles. We don't know where it's going to be this year. I don't know if they announced the location yet, but
I think they did. I think the details are out. They've actually got a date set as well. So I'm sure you can find those details on the Astro Carnival homepage, social media pages. So make sure to check that out.
So actually, Blep and I are sporting our Astro Carnival jerseys. I don't know if you can see this here. It even has the little Prince Cup on it. So I'm Team Astro and Blep's Team Carnival. This is from the Winter Invitational last year. So much fun. A lot of these players are actually there.
Yeah, we got to see a lot of them as well. It's always fun seeing the players in person. The energy is always different in a live event, but obviously today's matches have been very good as well. Like we've seen a lot of deck diversity. I'm actually pretty surprised.
I'm also surprised. And this last group here is gonna be Liel versus Sankyo. Both of these players are also veteran players. I don't know. Has Liel had?
Let's see, what do we have on Liel? Liel has come top 16 and top 8 before in Cat's Tail gatherings. So being knocked out actually by Robot Wizard, aka Stupid Idiot, which they had to face again in this bracket, because Robot Wizard, as you see, is in this bracket. He is, of course, the Prince Cup champion and one of the best players, again, in the North America region here. I am also there. You can see my name there, unfortunately knocked out very quickly.
Yeah, you lost very quickly. I'm so sorry. Oh, so Sankyo doesn't have any records in Astro tournaments right now, actually. But Liel, as you said, does have those NA Season 4, NA Alpha 2, and NA Season 2 of 2024 placements. So, but this is the first time he may be qualifying for Prince Cup. We'll have to see if he wins here versus Sankyo, or if Sankyo, the newcomer, will take this last spot. But, of course, Robot Wizard, aka Stupid Idiot, as I guess we're allowed to call him on stream now, did take that 2-0, and he was our Prince Cup champion last year. So,
yes,
definitely fan favorite, and unfortunately, our other fan favorite, Blep.
I know. I mean, it was unfortunate, and like I said at the beginning, I was playing that Mew deck and I low rolled as well quite hard. Oh,
Yulan OTK.
Hello.
Wait, we haven't seen this.
We have not seen it on stream yet. No, this is the first time, which is really surprising.
Yeah, this deck is actually like one of the most popular Magic decks right now to play against Hyper Magic. Still very strong in the meta. I think it's even gained strength after Finale kind of took a Yeah, if any of you people are watching, if anyone at home is watching from, the last version, one notable essence here is that official Nahida Lini Finale deck that has been really booted out because of the changes to Gilded. Sankyo bringing that Chongyun Razor Shingjo deck that we've already seen today, the Hyper Magic. So Magic versus Hyper Magic, who will win?
So I think if you had asked people at the beginning of Serious Showdown, they would have said that Yilan is favored, but I think people have started working out how to play the Chongyun Shichu deck, and it might actually be favored, assuming you know how to play the deck correctly. Ooh, and Sankyo might... Keeping that Judgment is actually very key. I've been told that's very important in this matchup. You want to play Judgment round 2, because round 2 is the round you're most likely to lose.
Pull the trigger.
Yeah, because Yulan OTK definitely has a very strong round 2. If you can whittle away at... Well, not whittle away. If you can deal a whole lot of damage quickly to the Chong Razor deck, then they can't really recover round 3.
And look, great dice rolls from Leo right off the bat. You really want 4 or 5 Hydro so you can skill on Yilan comfortably, and they were able to get that. Both sides actually got off to a pretty good start, so now it's up to their hands.
Let's see... Echoes of an Offering is a card that wasn't traditionally taken in Yulan OTK, but has recently picked up in popularity. I feel like it's actually super good. Of course, after you use an elemental skill, if the amount of dice you have is equal to or less than the amount of cards in your hand, you get 1 dice back.
Yeah, it's a recent addition. I think one of the evolutions of the Yilan deck, very early on, people started playing this deck, they would rush to get 3 attacks on Yilan as quickly as possible in round 1. People have figured out it's a little bit better to slow roll a little bit, let her build that second passive stack, and use a normal attack into the second round to draw an additional card.
It's just so good.
Yeah.
So valuable.
We're seeing both sides here basically setting up. Ooh, okay, I see Sankyo does have a Leave It To Me. It's one of the cards that is optional in the Shinchu Razor deck, but is particularly good in this matchup.
So the unfortunate thing is Sankyo would definitely go for a freeze on Yolan instead of Shincho Burst, because Yolan is 1 energy point off of her burst.
I think that's actually so. One of the again, I played this matchup a little bit, and one of the evolutions is that some players do like to start on Chongyun in this matchup to get that cryo onto Yelan in round 1, and then delay Yelan's burst. It's kind of like because they know that Yelan these days don't go for 3 actions in round 1 as often. It's actually a lot easier to freeze her out of that burst, and if you delay that burst, it goes a lot better for you. But it looks like Sankyo is opting not to make that play in this case.
Here we go, Leo getting that last energy stack needed for Yolan's burst, and we'll have to see if Sankyo lets him get away with it. Oh.
Wow, Leo's hand is looking very good right now. Ooh. I always thought that was going to be a card burn, but...
Yeah, I didn't count the amount of cards. I did see it was a lot. If you draw over 10 cards, you burn them. We've seen some very valuable burns in the past.
Yep, not the first time it's going to happen to any player, definitely. Definitely something very easy. With how many cards that players draw these days, it's very easy to do. But it looks like Leo is going to be able to get that burst off. I don't think Sankyo is going to want a quick swap here to freeze. That'd be a little aggressive.
Wait, Sunyata.
That's a little bit
Witness the
interesting.
power of Gugwa.
I would have strat maybe, but Shinjoverse coming out, so this is in preparation for Sankyo to pop off with
Wow.
Chongyun and Razor, but this does enable Leo to go for that burst.
Yeah, so both sides just setting up. I think with the way the game currently goes, both sides have basically taken the standard lines, and if you do that, the Yelan player is actually favored, right? Because their freezes do last longer. They have more quick swaps as well in the deck generally than the freeze player. So I think, and both their hands are looking pretty stacked as well. Like neither player I think is at a significant disadvantage RNG wise at this point. We'll have to see.
The one thing I noted as well is that Sankyo hasn't played Judgment yet, and Liel has so many cards.
Here comes the catch.
Yeah.
Okay, just opting to go for Yelan Burst right now and not use anything, but if Sankyo plays that Judgment, it could be pretty bad for this turn.
Yeah, typically you want to play, like most players are used to playing with in Judgment into round 2. Sorry, at the beginning of round 3, but unfortunately I think because Liel did start first, Sankyo is not going to be able to get priority at the beginning of the next round, unless he does use a quick swap here, which I don't think is ideal.
I feel like we're already seeing just how different these decks are. Yelan OTK is just way faster than the Shincho Chongyun Razor deck. If Liel is able to use like a lot of the cards that he has in hand, I think you could do a whole lot of damage on Sankyo, and it might be irrecoverable almost.
I mean, it kind of goes for both sides. Like if you look at Sankyo's hand, that's also really stacked. They have a Yayoi, not only one in play, but another in hand with 2 Gilded and 2 Liaisons, so they could actually get up to, I think that's probably up to 5 or 6 dice again, so they'll be able to skill and attack on on Chongyun quite a bit.
Yeah, here we go. So using that Gilded onto Chongyun.
A touch of frost.
Elemental skill. Yep, -3. Cryo Aura on TM. Station.
We might actually see a skill go down on Manifestation to actually take out Xingqiu. So now another way you can play this matchup is, because both sides are able to freeze, if you can actually take out their characters early, it gives them less opportunity to swap around and delay your attack. But looks like it's a normal attack here.
And I really wish Sankyo had played that Judgment, because a lot of what Liel's doing wouldn't be possible if Sankyo had played Judgment round 2. And if Sankyo still doesn't play Judgment, Liel can still go for another action, I think, with Liar Boar Gamblers.
Exactly. Oh no, Sankyo ended. This is not the spot you want to be against Yelan OTK.
This is gonna be a crucial moment for Leo, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they have more than enough cards in hand to actually pop off right now. So this is the scary part about this matchup. If you don't play that Judgment in round 2 and you kind of try and sit back to go for round 3, you can get really punished if your Yelan OTK opponent has the right draw to do so, and Liel does. We're going to see a lot of dice come out of Liel right now, and he's going to take out Xingqiu and maybe even more.
Gamblers on to Manifestation. A normal attack will be enough with that Yelan burst.
I have taught you everything.
Another 2 dice being generated. Now the question is, I wonder
Who's our target this time?
Would Leo have had another action if they had played Yayoi Gilded Gamblers in a different order or a different way?
Oh, it's possible. Things are going by so fast. I think that may have been possible with the Echoes, with Elias Song, but I think this is fine either way. I mean, once you take out one of the characters, the interesting thing here, there's no way really for Sunkyo to not take out Elan here. And that basically gives Liel a free swap. But this might be where that Judgment comes into play. But I think Liel has enough cards in hand to play through that Judgment.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it would have been another action on Liel's side, but considering the board state, there's still a chance that Sankyo can come back from this with the freeze, but I don't know. I feel like if Chongyun takes out Yelan here, which I think either with a skill or normal attack, it will happen. You just go Manifestation, take out Chongyun, and then Manifestation goes in your quick swap Signor and wait, it's just over.
Yeah, this is I mean, this is part of why the Yelan deck, if you do the standard lines from both sides, is favored, because they have more of those quick swaps, and if they're able to utilize them better than the Razor deck, then the freezers basically win you the game, and that's what we're gonna see here.
The Scourge of Evil.
But dice almost don't matter because it's really about the freeze that's about to come down.
Yeah, and that Judgment round 3 is just way too late. I think against, especially against Yelan OTK, like you were saying at the start of this match, you really want to be playing it round 2. Leo was able to get so much value.
Yeah, I mean that's part of like these matchups are so close and right now, depending on how you play, and like people didn't figure out exactly how to play against the Yelan OTK deck until a little bit later.
You're trembling.
That's it.
Yeah, that is it. But I'm laughing because.
Did you think that was a mistake?
No.
Oh, okay.
You have to play 3 zero-cost event cards just to play the last quick swap. Because you have to eat through those 3 Judgment stacks in order to quick swap. But yeah, quick swap onto Signor, Freezing Razor. That will be enough to end the game here.
Yeah, all of those jets is not going to matter. I mean, if Liel didn't have the quick swap in hand, Sankyo would have won that game because they had way more than enough dice needed to burst on Razor and trigger those 2 jets we can see there. But this is going to be a pretty clean win for Liel.
Liel taking the first match in this last best of 3 here in the Spring Series Showdown stream. Congratulations to Liel. We have 1 more or 2 more games left. I'm not sure who wins actually. Depending on who takes the next games, we might see our next Prince Cup participant.
We will. Yeah, our very last one to make it in. Not gonna be me though. I might have to fight through the wild cards.
You have a lot of experience with this group. Do you want to share some of your stories, maybe about how the group stage went? Because you were like an actual participant here in the series Showdown, right? So
I kind of explained in the last match when we saw Hanabe low roll on Mew, but the Mono Eula Wonder deck, I tried to bring that against both Sankyo and Liel, thinking they would play this Hyper Magic deck. The 3 times I played it against those 2 players, 0 of those matches were against the ones that I wanted, and I lost all of those ones. And then, so that deck is so cursed, but they're both very good. Like, I think I played this exact matchup into Liel with the Chongyun Razor deck and me playing Elan, and they were able to beat me on it. So, oh no.
Oh, speaking of Mew, Liel is playing it. Wait.
Ooh.
No Wagner.
This is the build that I was playing as well, which quote unquote is meant to be good into Hyper Magic. Let's see if actually, maybe, can Liel predict the matchup? Because we did just see Sankyo play. Oh! It's so cursed! I can't believe it!
We went from seeing absolutely 0 Yelan OTK to only Yelan OTK.
Oh, the Mew deck is so cursed. It never matches into the good matchup. So the problem is the standard Mew deck with Wagner, I think, is a little favored into Yelan OTK, but this specific version gives up that advantage to fight Hyper Magic. But in this matchup right now, you are not quite as favored. It is winnable, but you are not favored.
Let's go. This could be the last match, or this could be the
This
second to last
is
match. We're
destiny.
gonna have to find out.
We'll see.
Whoever wins this set will be advancing to the Prince Cup tournament. This is Sankyo versus Liel in Group 4.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this match plays out. Again, I've never seen this deck play against Hyper Magic. I didn't even practice it that much myself, so I've never played
Shadows of Fate.
the quote-unquote good matchup. So we'll have to see. I will say, when I played this deck against Liel in our game 3, they actually used Diona Stall, which was completely unexpected. Stall is not good right now, but they did manage to beat me with Diona playing against this Mew deck specifically.
Unfortunately, Sankyo didn't draw Echoes of an Offering, so and those dice are not great, but it is enough to go for. Actually, you can go for.
Yeah.
You can go for 3 actions with NSC. Wait.
You could, yeah. I think given the rolls, you probably will. I'm surprised it didn't equip. What's that artifact there?
Heart of Caverna, I think. I see the pink hair.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't equip it. Ooh, having to equip.
Oh, interesting. Immediately going for Wolf's Gravestone equip. I
Yeah.
guess they can afford to do that round 1.
Yeah, I mean, the way this deck tends to play is you are still finishing on Eula most of the time, but you're just rushing out Wanderer's Burst to pressure their characters early on. But I think this Covenant play is going to be, with Mao, is going to be pretty important.
No, not the... Okay. Sankyo was looking for a Hydro Dice. Did not get it.
That's a little hopeful. I mean, you're 1 in 7 to get that. I think...
It is the gamble, but
It is the gamble.
I guess
I mean-
tuning Lotus here is better than nothing.
You might actually want to keep... In this specific matchup, Lotus might be pretty important. You want to try and have your character survive that Wanderer Burst. I probably would actually tune the Gamblers. Because... Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think by the time the Gamblers is good, you're hoping to draw into a second one. Yeah, and you'd rather equip Heart. The other cards in your hand are too important.
There's finally the Heart of Caverna stack coming down, so let's see what card is drawn. I did not see what card was drawn.
It was another Heart and a Yayoi, which is going to be very good with that
That is
Gilded and a
very
second Heart
good.
in hand. Yeah.
That is like exactly what is needed, I think.
Yeah. Well, of course, the Mew deck is never lucky. If you play it, you're cursed to have bad luck. No matter how good people tell you the matchups are. Oh dear.
I wonder if Leo is gonna go for Wander or Yuli here. I guess with those dice, you almost certainly go Wander, right? But
Well, Eula does have Wolf Gravestone, so I think there is this argument that you could go to Eula here. But for the most part, if you don't go Wander here, the unfortunate thing is Wander is not a good character to end on, and you end up using up all of your Hydro Auras, which leaves your round 3 very tricky. I think it's easy to get baited to want to go Eula here, but I think it's still correct to go Wanderer.
I just feel like shutting down.
Are you
Juan's
sure it has
Burst
to be
takes out
me?
so much damage. From
Fine.
Yuana's hit.
Let's get this
But
over with.
I guess it is at the expense of your own damage. Though with that
Exactly.
Stone, I don't know.
Oh, getting that Lysong is going to be very big. Yeah, Sanko has a very good hand right now. I'm pretty worried now, of course, for our new player, Leo. Can they come back and win this matchup? We'll have to see.
We're definitely gonna have to see this. So we're gonna see Yelan burst here, right?
Yeon Burst is going to go off, but probably... does Leo actually have enough dice to Wanderer Burst? I think they're going to be short. So we have to swap back onto Mona.
You know, no
At some point.
instructors or anything for Leo, so
Of course not.
they only have enough for one more action,
Look.
and then they'll have 1 dice left.
And even if they drew Timaeus, Timaeus will give you
Here
gambles
comes the
anyway,
catch.
so... That is the fate of the new player.
Also, I wonder if you're Leo, do you judgment this round as well, or do you judgment next round? I mean, at this point, you don't judgment anymore. But
no, I think you're less worried. So it's not quite the same matchup as in the previous deck, but because you have Eula and Freeze, you're less likely to just go down this round. And even if you lose like Mona or something, it doesn't matter as much as the other matchup. So I think you want to try and end first so that you can judgment at the beginning of round 3. But if you do, I think it's pretty good for you.
Sankyo, let's see. Yayoi with only one artifact.
Yeah, if that food was a minty meat rolls, I think it would have been a really big turn. Although I guess I already used Lotus, which is probably more important because this protects manifestation from the Wanderer Burst no matter what.
If you're Leo, all you can really do is swap to Mona, right? Like you don't even want to.
I think
go
so.
Eula.
If you go to Mona,
Eula and stall.
no, I think you have to. If you go Mona, Mona's just going to go down, and then if your opponent has a Gamblers, they could very easily get 2 or 3 attacks off of manifestation and just completely do too much damage. So I think Endiel Wonder is correct.
I think the problem here is Sankyo has enough.
Yeah.
Wait. They didn't play the Gilded. With the card draw.
Ooh, that
the
could have been a
dice.
mistake.
Wait.
Oh, so they could be trying to. I think if they do it this way, they can Yayoi Covenant into Gilded, and use up that Covenant.
Yeah, but
I think they do it in the other. I'd have to go back and see that because, like, if the dice doesn't quite work out that to let you play Covenant this turn, because I think it's gonna be very important that Sankyo does. But I wasn't quite sure what the dice was looking like at the beginning. But with this Covenant now coming out on top of Gilded, Manifestation is going to be able to get another attack, and that will take out Wanderer. Yeah. I wonder if it was correct to actually play Judgment in round 2, after all.
Yeah.
Especially if you couldn't go for Wanderer Burst.
I think if you bring Judgment, so round 2 is where you're getting off a lot of damage in like a more aggressive deck like Yelan, OTK, and also Mew. So I mean, I feel like playing Judgment here is fine, even though it's a different matchup. So yeah, that will be enough to take out Wanderer. Wanderer's Burst is not gonna be relevant this game.
Falling
Yeah,
into the abyss.
Oh, this deck is so cursed.
It is very cursed. I feel like with Mew, and I've heard this from other players as well, you basically have to high roll with it in the first 2 rounds to win. And if you high roll, it high rolls really well. But if you don't high roll, it's doomed.
It's pretty doomed. I mean, yeah, unfortunately, it depends on like how many dice Leo will have in their hand here. Because if they're able to generate enough dice to freeze the opposing team, it might be enough. But I think Sankyo's hand is just too good to be able to drawing another Echoes and a second Chef Mao, which almost certainly is going to draw them a Minty Meat roll. So I think Sankyo does have this in the bag. I mean, it is a favored matchup on their side to begin with to this variant of the Mono Yule Wanderer deck.
Yeah, it looks really difficult to come back from this. I mean, Signora and Yelan both have Hydro Auras, and with Mona about to act, I guess it's possible for Eula to just perma-freeze everyone, but I don't know if Leo has the right dice for it. There we go, Judgment coming out.
Yeah, it's going to be too little too late. And that Tamias also not even drawing Instructors, I think what Leo was hoping for, but at this point it really doesn't matter. Having that Wanderer go down without... It's really crucial you get that Wanderer Burst off. Because it's so much damage that you kind of need for Eula to clean up here.
Yeah, I don't see a way out of it for Leo, unfortunately. Only 3 dice left. No Yayoi for that Gilded.
Yeah, the one thing is, Sankyo doesn't have a quick swap right now, and all of his characters are on with Hydro. The only thing that's going for him right now, though, is Liel has just not got enough dice to actually freeze all of the characters on the other side anyway. So I'm really not sure what you can do in this spot. I think it's looking pretty good for Sankyo either way.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Sankyo, you're just sitting pretty on TM going for the kill. So here we go, TM Burst coming out. Mona does fall.
Ready
Only
for
Bola is
reconnaissance.
left, and Sankyo has plenty of dice to get the win this round, I think.
Yeah, and once again, we see that late Gamblers coming in for Sankyo after 2 characters are going down. So I think If you're Sankyo, you can probably... Actually, if you just end, do you just win? No, probably not.
I think you could just go for it. You have so much at your disposal right now. No, because of Judgment, it's not that simple, but...
True, yeah, Judgment is shutting off food here.
But if you do one normal attack, it's 4 damage, and then Manifestation's burst ends it.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I think you're definitely right there. Any attack or skill from either Yilan or Signora here will be enough to do it. Basically, Liel needs to find enough dice.
Wait.
Yeah, the swap there isn't necessary, but I don't think it changes anything.
Wait.
I hope
it's not necessary, but...
No, I don't think it changes any of the math here. Like, either way, Signora's attack does 4 here no matter what, and then the Manifestation burst will do 3 damage.
I'm just very interested in the swap, but either way, Manifestation Summon is going to be enough to take out Eula.
I mean, I like what Sunko's doing here, just, you know, crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's, making sure there's no way that they can lose from here, but it is almost certainly over here. And this... Mario wanted to... Oh, it's so cursed!
It is really cursed.
The deck itself is fine, it's just, like, you need a couple of things to go right in your favor, and it just never goes right for the player playing it.
Yeah, congratulations to Sankyo for taking that game off of Leo. So they are 1-1 in this last
1-1.
Whoever wins this next game will be advancing on to the Prince Cup tournament spring version. And I'm really interested to see how this group's going to go, actually. I don't know who's going to win.
Game 3 is very tricky, right? So if you're on LLC, you just played against Yelan OTK, so your opponent can't bring that. So you can predict your opponent might go back to the Hyper Magic deck, in which case you want to bring the Mew deck again. But do you want to risk doing that in case they bring something different?
Yelan OTK just won both matches, and
it did.
I agree with you that I think it's likely that the next match is going to be Hyper Magic, but...
Oh, he's going to do it. Okay, here's the thing. This is what I thought against Liel, and then they brought out Diona Stall, and they beat me playing Mew.
Okay, but Leo, I'm pretty sure is a Diona main.
True.
So that makes sense.
True.
That
game was also very close.
Leo to bring Diona.
Can he actually get the good? This is the first time I've actually been seeing. Oh, he gets it!
Oh, well, you're right. Okay, Sankyo bringing. Okay, let's go.
Sankyo finally playing him to the Mew deck. Okay, so now all that has to happen is the other needs to not low roll a double gamblers, because if we see that again, that's yeah.
That's just.
I gotta say.
That's just cool.
Yeah, I gotta say this is a fun deck to watch because there's so many like small random elements that can go wrong for the Mew player here.
Definitely. I think it's also really fun to see like I don't want to say older, but they are older at this point, the older Magic decks, like Yelan OTK coming out. As you know, much as players don't like playing against Yelan OTK these days, it is a very tried and true deck. It's very
is
good
as
meta,
the stars
and,
foretold.
It does show us that Hyper Magic is not the only way to go, right?
Yeah, it is actually very funny that I feel like looking at all the matches from the other groups, the other 3 groups had very different ideas about what the metagame was and what the best decks were. And this specific group, me, Liel, and it looks like Sankyo all came to very similar conclusions, because when we played against each other, we all brought Yelan OTK and this Chongyun Xingqiu deck, as well as this Mono Yulorna deck. Like, those were the 3 decks we thought. So it's funny that all of the people who thought similarly were clustered in this one group.
Oh yeah, so you faced both of these players, right?
I did.
You were in this group.
I was in this
what
group.
did they play against you?
I mean, we pretty much are seeing very similar matchups that I had. You know, I played this Mew deck into Yelan OTK and I lost on it. I played Yelan OTK into this Chongyun Xingqiu deck and I lost on it as well. I never got this matchup though. So Liel finally winning the RNG on the matchup here.
Who do you think is favored? It has to be Mew, right? Mew's favored if everything.
That's what people
right.
tell me. If I ever got this matchup, I would be able to tell you, but it never happened, so I have no idea.
No, my sword!
But we'll see.
Sorry, not burst. Rainstorm. Oh my gosh. Elemental skill coming out. Applying Hydro to himself as well, but doesn't matter because Mona's skill.
Yeah. I'm actually a little surprised, we saw Liel put back Liben at the beginning. I would have thought you wanted to keep that as one of the good ramp options, because I'm not sure what they're going to do with the 3 dice now that they have remaining.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna depend on what... No way. It's not gamblers.
No.
Okay,
This could be
so
it.
Leo
This is...
play Tamaya's.
Yeah, but the thing is, I still don't know what you're going to do with those extra 3 die. Imagine if you had kept Liben in this situation, it would look so good for you going into the next round.
You could just normal attack.
Oh, that would be terrible. I guess you have...
If this was old Gilded, you just play Gilded, maybe. No, you wouldn't even do that.
No, you wouldn't have enough dice.
Not enough dice, yeah.
Yeah, and the awkward thing is, one thing you could do maybe is equip instructors, and then try and use the Tamaya stacks with Gilded, but because of how Tamaya's works, you can't actually play instructors without using the discount.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah.
Yeah, this is really tough. I think you have to just play Dunya's out and pass.
This is unfortunate. This is normally why you take a 1-cost things like Strategize, so you can use up those 2 dice.
Well, very early on, Liel did, so in their opening hand, they did put back a Liben, which I'm not sure if that was the right play. I think I would much prefer just to have that Liben. It's a very good card to have in your opening. But we'll see. The Tamias at least is cooperating with them, so that's something.
It is, and they did draw another Gamblers. Well, not another. They did draw 8 Gamblers, so...
Yeah, they have every artifact they could draw. Ooh.
Sankyo also has a lot at their disposal here. Already has Jet, has a Sunyata in hand, has that quick swap. I wonder if Leo's gonna play Judgment this round.
What do you want from me?
I think the Razor deck is more likely to go round 3, so I think you want to save it, because the way you win this matchup, I think, is if you can freeze your opponents and get more quick swaps, because you have Mona, right? You have Mona to allow you to quick swap onto your own Eula and freeze your opponents, and if you can Judgment them out of their own Leave It To Me's, then that puts you in the advantage. So almost certainly going to wait for round 3 before using that.
Also, just noting that
stacked.
Leo uses Tamaya stacks to equip Gilded onto Wander rather than Instructors.
Yep. I mean, it's 1 dice less, but you get to draw 2 more cards on Wanderer, and that's more valuable, I think. Especially with double Dunyazad, if you can draw another companion, draw more cards, like maybe a second Tamias that lets you play Instructors for free later on, that would actually be really huge. So I definitely like Gilded there. Gilded is the one that you're actually hoping for more than Instructors in this specific version of the deck.
I think it's interesting. So Leo could have swapped to Wander at the end of last round to use up a dice, and then also did not use Changing Shifts this round as well when swapping to Wander. So I wonder if it even matters, but just something to think about.
Look at their dice count, it probably won't, because they're going to be able to normal attack twice on Wanderer, and then that's going to be it.
Let me weave you a verse.
Really coming down for Sankyo after using Sunyata, and there's Shincho's burst setting up for that freeze from Moon.
Ooh, another Gamblers.
Another Gamblers.
All the artifacts, yeah. I think we're only missing 1 Instructors. That's the last artifact in Leo's deck.
If Leo had Liu Su here, it would be so good. So
yeah,
good.
Li Su would have been the perfect card. Yeah, not a great start for Liel here, unfortunately. Having to waste 2 dice into round 1, which is very tough, and then now missing a Li Su to power out that Wander burst.
Ooh, a quick swap onto Chongyun.
I'm not sure if I like that. The quick swaps are so vital in this matchup because of freeze.
Swift
This
and
is very aggressive.
This is very aggressive, but it does lock Leo out from another action this round. So I guess we're just gonna see maybe an Instructor's equip.
There's a couple options. We could see it changing shifts and then apply Hydro onto Chongyun, but I think that's... Yeah. But having priority might be more important.
Well, does priority matter if you end on Mona, though?
true. Actually, yeah. Okay, so I think that quick swap might have been a mistake because what Liel's going to be able to do now is they're going to be able to play Judgment at the beginning of the round because they're priority. And I think Leo knows Sankyo. Typically, the Razor deck only runs one quick swap, and they just use their single quick swap. Oh, that calcs as well.
Oh,
Actually,
no.
wait, that counts as the perfect draw.
Oh my gosh, wait.
The deck is finally doing what it's supposed to do.
You not breaking?
The very last game of our very last group.
In this economy?
In this hyper economy. Wow. Yeah, honestly, like that quick swap might have been a crucial misplay there. I mean, maybe you needed to do that anyway. Again, this matchup should be pretty unfavored for the Chongyun player, but using up that quick swap is going to let Eula freeze the entire team this round. So I think we're going to see a gambler's burst here.
A gambler's burst.
And with that judgment,
my gosh.
with the judgment to lock Sankyo as well out of generating a bunch of dice using that Liar Song. Actually, we're gonna see the
Cry
judgment?
louder.
Oh, no judgment. Okay.
Boom, no judgment. Interesting.
The scourge of evil remains.
We'll have to see how Sankyo responds here. I would have definitely expected a judgment. Maybe Leo.
I think it's the dice.
Yeah, it's the dice, right? Because Leo has exactly 2 actions right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So Leo,
But-
unfortunately.
Wait, because changing shifts, Eula freeze.
Well, it doesn't matter because no matter what action Sankyo does, it's going to take out Wondra unless he just goes for a Shinchu skill, which might actually be the right play here. If Sankyo takes out Wondra, I think it's almost certainly going to be a losing position. Oh wait, Yola has an Instructors, so I think you could have
Yola
Judgmented
does
this turn.
Wait,
I think it was probably right to Judgment. Because I think if you Judgment, you do win the game pretty much on the spot. But it's still a very good position for Liel here. Because Sankyo's put in a very tough spot. He's either going to have to use 3 dice to skill on Xingqiu to avoid taking out Wondra here and pretty much losing immediately. Or be at least forced to gamble on the off chance that Liel can't finish the game this round. Which is very unlikely.
yeah, I forgot the Instructor's equip on Eula. I think Judgment would have definitely been what seals deal here, but I think Leo is still in a winning position.
Yeah, it won't matter because I think Liel's gonna put out so much damage this turn that it should be enough no matter what. But I do think you could have definitely played Judgment this round. Especially because Sankyo is gonna draw 3 cards no matter what
from
after the
Sealy.
Xingqiu. Yeah.
The other problem for Sankyo is that Jet is only at 1 stack, and I'm looking at his hand, and there's only like a Chang that you can realistically play here. We'll have to see what Sankyo draws from Celia, but this is not an ideal position to be in for that deck right now, I think.
Yeah. It's a pretty tough spot. I don't really see... I don't know what Sankyo can do because... Okay, yeah, that's probably the most correct move you can do, but this quick swap...
Quick swap, changing shifts, quick swap
Yeah,
onto
it almost doesn't
Eula.
matter.
What's your battle plan?
Here we go, in the free.
Yeah, the freeze here. Oh, you know, the not playing Judgment might come up if we see Sankyo go back to Xingqiu, and then we can equip Gamblers on Yola. So that might actually be the correct play not to play Judgment here.
What if Leo plays Judgment now?
Shudder!
No, there's no reason to play Judgment now. Yeah, actually, by not playing Judgment, it leaves you the perfect dice to Gamblers into... Oh, but then that doesn't leave you with another action anyway. That's actually one shot because you lose Instructors.
No, wait, you...
No, you can't. There's no way to actually get another dice roll.
Shudder!
Oh,
I am
right.
outplayed.
But it doesn't matter, I think, because you can just swap over onto Wanderer, and then you never lose from this spot.
Yeah, I mean, you could also just go Mona because Chomyun's Frostfield's up.
No, you want to... I
There's
think
no
you
threat.
want to... Oh, that's true. Yeah. The Frostfield is also going to run out. Yep. Correct. Well, okay, this is why people told me this deck is good into the Xingqiu Chongyun deck. I'm finally seeing it for the first time.
Because you draw Calx at just the right time and water first.
I mean... So I don't
This
remember
is
what matches I
destiny.
played against Sunkyo, but I think I played 2 matches on this deck, and neither of them were against that Xingqiu deck. So, just my luck, I guess.
This is why players have been trying to play Mew this patch. I think particularly this variant of Mew, right?
Yeah,
This is
it's a good
built
deck in
around
theory.
Hyper Magic. It is a good deck in theory, but it really relies on your draw and dice.
Yeah, I think the unfortunate thing is like there's so many different possibilities right now from people trying to counterpick each other that you get into these really weird situations where you can have unexpected matchups. But here we go.
Get back!
Razor going for some damage before it is his time to be frozen. Unfortunately.
Yep.
Neil has plenty of resources at his disposal here.
Yeah.
Tuning for Mona's skill? Really?
Well, skill seems a little. Yeah, it really doesn't matter either way. I mean, skill kind of guarantees that you end the game, I think. And at least you get to leave Hydro on Razor just on the off chance somehow the game goes into round 4. But this is basically checkmate.
This is basically checkmate. So changing shifts on
Ready for reconnaissance.
Ooh, and that's
is
2
exactly what's needed.
And gonna get an extra die as well off of that
Let it
instructor.
cross.
So not only is there gonna be a burst here, but we're not even gonna have to wait till the end of the round.
Yep, that's it. Shatter will be enough to win this game for Leo.
Yeah, we're finally seeing the deck do what it does best.
Super cool!
There we go. Leo taking the last match in this final best of 3. Congratulations to Leo and congratulations to all the participants today. I know Leo and Sankyo are actually watching this match right now. They've been watching this entire set, so yeah, well played to the both of you. And yeah, congratulations once again, Leo, for making it to the Prince Cup Spring Edition.
Yeah, and it's so surprising just like how different each of the groups have been, right? Like we didn't see really either of those decks, like Yelan OTK or this Mew variant, played very much in the other groups, but it was like so popular in this specific group. It's like kind of crazy.
Even when you were playing it, right? Like even though you
I brought
lost
the same
leading up
decks.
to these matches, you
Yeah.
brought the same deck. So
Ooh.
here we go. Here are all of our players going to the Prince Cup from the Americas region. So we have Group 1, 906, going 2-0. Yahida, of course, winning today. Ting going 2-0 in Group 2. Jibu winning today. Maxim going 2-0 in Group 3. Mayoi winning today. And then Group 4, Stupid Idiot, also known as Robot Wizard, going 2-0. And Liel winning in this stream. And then we did not see Groups 5 and 6 play out, but of course Matt Mario and Sean qualified, winning both of their group matches. And Pilot going through the decider match, and Zero, who is noticeably Latin American participants who we actually met at the Winter Invitational, I believe, will be going on to the Prince Cup tournament as well. So,
Shan as well.
Yeah, Shan won through the
Prince
top
Cup.
bracket. So
Well, Shan, remember it was also like I
yeah.
think top 8 in Prince Cup. So we have 5, I think, or 7 Prince Cup competitors in the 12 going into Prince Cup. So you can see that they've really maintained their skill after a year of playing and are still very capable to be able to make it through the Series Showdown.
absolutely incredible, to see all of these familiar faces and also some new names here. Noticeably, like some of these new names are actually veterans in the community that just haven't had a tournament showing yet. So I'm very, very, very excited to see how the Prince Cup tournaments go from here on out. Of course, America and Europe will be combined starting in the Prince Cup phase, but we will be having Rin and Staffa casting the Europe Series Showdown, I believe, tomorrow morning?
It should be tomorrow. Yeah, not gonna be. It's gonna be too early for me to wake up for, unfortunately. But they'll be up nice and early to bring you that coverage, and you'll get to see what 12 other players will qualify for the Prince Cup through this year's Showdown. But again, of course, that's still not too late if you want to try and qualify for the Prince Cup, because as we speak right now, signups for the wild card are going to happen, and that's another way you can get a spot into the same Prince Cup bracket as the players you're seeing here go through today.
Yeah, and if you do qualify into the Prince Cup tournament, 32nd place, I mean, there's 32 players, but 32nd place, even if you get knocked out immediately, after the wild card, you still get that $600. So
yeah, it's still a really good prize.
Yeah, these players going on to play into the Prince Cup tournament have already won that prize if they continue to play, basically. So yeah, congratulations to them. And if you want to play as well, please head over to the Astro Carnival website or their Twitter or anything where you can get their information and go sign up for that wild card right now. I don't know how many spots are left, but the signups have been up for a couple days. But you two have the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, I think they'll be going up until the 14th, but there is a limited number of spots for, the participants in the wild card. So if not everyone who signs up will be able to participate, but they'll cut those players down just like we saw today, and then a few of them will advance to the Prince Cup. Of course, if you do miss your chance as well for getting the wild card for this Prince Cup, the year may not be over yet. We have Cat's Tail Gathering, which is the more regular seasonal tournament. You might recognize us from some of those final streams as well. That will be resuming, I believe, next patch as well. We took a break this season because of the Serious Showdown and the coverage we'll bring you today, but that'll come right back. So definitely be sure to join Tavern, sign up and follow on social media, the Astro Carnival pages, and yeah, keep an eye out.
Keep an eye out indeed. So I think that's going to be it for us today. It was honestly so much fun to be casting for you guys. I am so excited to be back into the major tournament scene here this year. We're really kicking it off with some interesting matches. The meta is something for sure with Hyper Magic.
I was honestly surprised at how fun today's match. I was expecting the worst, where like every single bracket would be the same 2 or 3 decks being paired up against each other, but we saw so much variety today. So really hats off to all of the competitors here, everyone's trying to one-up each other, right? Like trying to beat the next best deck, and it's very easy to be ahead of your opponents if you're ahead of the curve there. So really great gameplay, and excited to see what the Prince Cup holds.
Huge part of it is, digging into information and figuring out what your opponents can be bringing. But yeah, congratulations again to all of our players today, and GG, well played. We will see you guys next time. This has been Leo, Windflower Leo.
And this is Blep, Data Education Academy. See you next time.